Chapter 304. It's not impossible. Ji-yu said. Facing 10 people, there was no fear on his face. You. Seeing this, the young man felt that something was amiss. Brother Zhao, let's do it together. Are we still afraid of that kid? At this time, the other team said to the young man. Hearing this, the young man named Zhao Kun thought about it. They had 10 people on their side, and they were all considered to be famous geniuses in the Kanglan Empire. There was no reason to be suspicious. Stop talking nonsense. If you want to go, then go together. Ji-yu said with a slightly impatient tone. Go. Being scared by a kid, how could Zhao Kun bear it? With a cold shout, the 10 of them attacked at the same time. At the same time, Cheng Yu and Cheng Jiangjiang also used the array that they had prepared. In less than a few minutes, the 10 people were all defeated. They didn't expect that the other 5 people's cultivation was higher than theirs, and there were also 2 array masters. The situation was terrible. They directly gave up on the injured bramble demon dog and fled. In order to not violate the rules of the beast hunting ceremony, Ji-yu deliberately left these people alive. Otherwise, these people would have died long ago. At the same time, the scene on the outside screen changed. The people outside already knew the strength of this Dark Horse team, so they weren't too surprised. Then, Ji-yu slowly walked towards the bramble demon dog. Now, he should deal with this demon beast. In the next moment, a shocking scene happened. The bramble demon dog suddenly knelt down in front of Ji-yu. Ji-yu was stunned at first, then suddenly found that the bramble demon dog's abdomen bulged. What's wrong with it? Zhuang Weiran asked in surprise. Not only her, but the other 3 girls were also surprised. This is a female dog. If you look carefully, you will find that it is pregnant. Ji-yu said, I guess it is begging us to let it go. The 4 girls were silent. Facing this mother who wanted to protect the child in her belly, they couldn't do anything. Ji-yu, let it go or not, you decide. Zhuang Weiran sighed. Ji-yu was just about to open her mouth when she saw the bramble demon dog slowly run to a certain spot and use its mouth to pick up a few leaves on the ground. Then, the demon dog lowered its head and laid on the ground, letting out a low whine. This is Pearl Spirit Grass? Ji-yu immediately walked over. Pearl Spirit Grass, what is that? Zhuang Weiran asked curiously. This is a very rare spirit grass. I never thought that there would be such a precious item in the inner area. Ji-yu picked up the pearl spirit grass in front of the bramble demon dog, slightly surprised. The pearl spirit grass was only as long as a finger, and there was a small oval-shaped fruit on the top, so it was named the pearl spirit grass. Oh. Zhuang Weiran nodded. Although she didn't know much about materials, she could tell that this spirit grass was very valuable. However, she was more concerned about whether Ji-yu would let go of the pregnant female dog. So, what do you want to do with it? Zhuang Weiran looked at the bramble demon dog with pity. In her heart, she hoped that Ji-yu would let go of this pregnant bitch. Of course, let it go. Ji-yu said without hesitation. The bramble demon dog not only didn't attack them, but also took the initiative to hand over a pearl spirit grass. He wasn't a person who liked to kill, so he would let it go. The bramble demon dog seemed to understand Ji-yu's words, and a drop of tear flowed out of the corner of its eyes, as if it was grateful to Ji-yu. Looking at this scene, Ji-yu couldn't help but go forward and stroke the demon dog's head. The demon dog didn't resist at all, letting Ji-yu stroke it. Ji-yu couldn't help but sigh in his heart. He only hoped that the female dog wouldn't die in the hands of others. Then, Ji-yu and the others left here. However, at this moment, the bramble demon dog that was still lying on the ground suddenly disappeared. The nearby area was very quiet, as if nothing had happened. Chapter 305. Time flew by, and half a day passed. Ji-yu suppressed her strength to defensive profound realm LV9, and her speed of killing beasts was very fast. The beast hunting ceremony had entered its climax, and so did the audience outside the venue. The betting time had ended, and many people were looking forward to the final result. Now that half a day had passed, it was enough for them to judge the final result. The first was the second prince's team, the second was the fifth prince's team, and the third was, they all had a rough idea of the rankings in their hearts. As for the sixth prince's team, which was Jiyu's team, they were either fifth or sixth in the eyes of these people. Now, they just had to wait for the final result. In the Beast Mountain range, all the teams were fighting to kill beasts in the inner area. Jiyu and the others were no exception. There was only half a day left before the end, and Jiyu felt that it was about time to show her skills. In fact, it wasn't really showing her skills. As long as she could get the first place, it would be fine. Not long after, they met another team. This was already the 10th team they met. Everyone was fighting to kill beasts, so it was normal to meet each other. The teams they had encountered before had all been beaten back by them. But this time, the team in front of them was a little special, as Jiyu saw the fifth prince among the 5 people. It was obvious that this was the team led by the fifth prince. And the strength of the team was not ordinary. Other than the fifth prince who was at defensive profound realm, the other 4 were all at least at defensive profound realm LV8, and one of them was at defensive profound realm LV9. In this beast hunting ceremony, they were definitely one of the strongest teams. But unfortunately, they met Jiyu. But Jiyu was a little concerned about the LV9 defensive profound realm young man. Because she remembered Zhuang Weiran said that the second prince and the fifth prince were in cahoots with the evolving temple. In the Kanglan Empire, there were not many who were at defensive profound realm LV9 among the younger generation. And this young man was dressed strangely, with a lot of black cloth wrapped around his body, and his face was full of evil, so it was very likely that he was from the evolving temple. Or rather, he was once captured by the evolving temple and became like this. Chen Chong. At this moment, Qi Linga suddenly spoke. What? Do you know him? Jiyu asked curiously when she saw that Qi Linga was looking at the sinister young man. He used to be a disciple of the Chenyuan martial house, and he was ranked first. Of course I know him. Qi Linga explained, however, he disappeared mysteriously 2 years ago. No one knows where he went. I didn't expect to meet him here. She still blushed a little when she talked to Jiyu. Mysteriously disappeared for 2 years. I understand. Jiyu more or less understood now. He was now certain that Chen Chong was most likely a member of the evolving temple. It was fine if they didn't provoke him, but if they dared to provoke him, he would teach them a lesson. What do you mean? At this time, Zhuang Weiran whispered to Jiyu. The other party's overall strength was very strong. Unless Jiyu made a move, they had no chance of winning. However, if Jiyu made a move, her true identity would be exposed. Don't worry. Just do what you need to do, Jiyu said calmly. The fifth prince, Zhuang Kunji, was also surprised. He didn't expect to meet Zhuang Weiran here. Make a move. Chen Chong also noticed the team in front of him and said in a low voice. Especially when he recognized Qi Ling he couldn't help but pay more attention to her. Zhuang Kunji shook his head expressionlessly. After that, the 2 teams walked past each other without any intention of making a move. When the crowd saw this scene, they began to talk about it. It's strange that the fifth prince didn't make a move. Yeah. The teams that met the fifth prince before were all beaten up badly. This time, they didn't even make a move. Actually, it's not strange. That's the sixth prince's team. The 2 of them are related by blood. If they made a move, it would be a big deal. I remember there are rumors that the fifth prince and the sixth prince have a bad relationship. Although killing was not allowed in the beast hunting ceremony, it didn't say that fighting was not allowed. Injuring or crippling people from other teams would affect the speed of the other team's hunting. This was also a method to compete for a ranking, and it was also a method that was tacitly agreed by the rules. Jiyu walked past the fifth prince and his team calmly. Cheng Yeye and Cheng Jiangjiang were vigilant because they could sense that the other party's strength was not ordinary. Until the 2 sides walked away, neither side had the intention to make a move. They seemed to be very harmonious. However, at this time, Chen Chong suddenly turned around and looked deeply at Jiyu's back. What's wrong? Zhuang Kunji asked. Nothing. Chen Chong immediately turned back. Chapter 306. Even though Ji Yu didn't turn around, she could feel Chen Chong's gaze. Although she didn't know what that gaze meant, she didn't take it to heart. Fifth brother, I didn't expect to meet you here. Suddenly, at this moment, a heroic voice came from not far away. Hearing this voice, Ji Yu immediately realized who the owner of the voice was and turned to look. She saw a burly young man wearing the same clothes as Zhuang Kunji walking over. If she wasn't wrong, this burly young man should be the second prince of the royal family. Behind the burly young man were 4 people. The burly young man was at the 9th level of the defensive profound realm. The other 4 were all at the 8th level of the defensive profound realm and didn't have any distinguishing features. Ji Yu couldn't tell which one of them was from the evolving temple. The overall strength of this team was on par with Zhuang Kunji's team. Second brother. Zhuang Kunji responded coldly and didn't say anything else. At this time, the burly young man also noticed Ji Yu's side. But when he saw Zhuang Weiran, he seemed to understand something and didn't pay attention to them anymore. Ha ha ha, fifth brother, you're still as cold as ever. The burly young man laughed and patted Zhuang Kunji's shoulder. Contrary to the 5th prince Zhuang Kunji, this second prince's character was very bold and unrestrained. Just say what you want to say. Zhuang Kunji moved away from the burly young man's hand and said coldly. Okay. The burly young man didn't mind at all and said, it's like this. I just found a yin spirit tree with a yin spirit fruit. But there's a 3rd rank monster guarding it. If it's just me, I can't get close. 3rd rank monster? Zhuang Kunji didn't even think and shook his head. Forgive me for not accompanying you. Against a 3rd rank monster, not to mention 1 team, even 2 teams together wouldn't be enough. Even if it was the yin spirit fruit, he wasn't willing to take such a big risk. Don't be anxious. Let me finish first. The burly young man hurriedly said, although that demonic beast is a rank 3 demonic beast, it has just broken through to rank 3 and its strength is not stable yet. If both of our teams go together, there is a 90% chance of success. Zhuang Kunji hesitated for a moment before nodding. I'll go with you and take a look. Haha, that's right. The burly youth said excitedly, let's go. By the way, little 6, do you want to join us? The burly youth had only taken a few steps when he suddenly asked Zhuang Weiran, who was not far away. Hearing this, Zhuang Weiran was about to reject, but she heard Ji Yu's voice directly entering her heart. Promise him first. Hearing Ji Yu's mental communication, Zhuang Weiran didn't know why Ji Yu was doing this, but she still said to the burly youth, since second brother is personally inviting me, then I'll accept. The burly young man was slightly taken aback, and a hint of surprise flashed in his eyes. He had only said it casually, but he didn't expect Zhuang Weiran to really agree. That's not right. With his understanding of his 6th sister, she wouldn't agree so easily, right? However, the burly youth didn't have time to think so much. He still had to rush to Yin Ling Shu's place in case something unexpected happened. Without thinking too much, he immediately set off. After the 2nd prince and the 5th prince's group had walked far away, Zhuang Weiran and the rest slowly followed. At this time, Zhuang Weiran softly asked Ji Yu, why did you want me to promise him? She actually wanted to ask just now, but she had to wait until 2nd brother and 5th brother were far away before she could ask. That Yin Ling fruit is quite useful to me, Ji Yu said. Yin Ling fruit, he knew what it was. It was a mysterious fruit that could increase an alchemist's soul power. A normal person's soul power was basically predetermined at birth, and it was especially difficult to increase one's soul power later on. At this time, a fruit that could increase one's soul power was extremely rare. Simply put, the Yin Ling fruit could be said to be a priceless treasure in the Kanglan Empire. Even if one had the money, it would be hard to get one. This was also why the 2nd prince and the 5th prince took the risk to face a rank 3 demon beast. Even if it was just a rank 3 demon beast, its level of danger was not low. Chapter 307. Ji Yu was an alchemist, so the yin spiritual fruit would be of great use to him. Hearing Ji Yu's words, Zhuang Weiran basically understood. If it wasn't for Ji Yu's request, she wouldn't have agreed to second brother's request. Don't be fooled by second brother's simple-minded appearance, he was actually very cunning. But with Ji-yu around, she didn't have to worry about second brother playing any tricks. Ding. Master took a step forward. Earth rank low-grade profound skill lightning luster transformation gained experience, 1 by 999 times. Ding. Master took a step forward. Earth rank low-grade profound skill lightning luster transformation gained experience, 1 by 999 times. Ji-yu and the rest silently followed behind the burly youth. The burly youth didn't care. To put it bluntly, he could deal with Six Sisters' team by himself. After an unknown amount of time, the burly youth's footsteps suddenly stopped. That's the yin spiritual tree in front. There's a bramble demon dog, which is a third-grade demonic beast, guarding there. He opened his mouth to speak. Bramble demon dog. Hearing this, Ji-yu and the rest were all stunned. They had just let go of a bramble demon dog. Why was there another one here? If it really entered the third grade, then it shouldn't be the previous one. Although the bramble demon dog was a second-grade ninth-grade demonic beast, it was pregnant and couldn't have broken through at such a special time. Let's go. After speaking, the burly youth deliberately said to Ji-yu's team, and you guys too. The burly youth and Zhuang Kunji's two teams took the lead and rushed forward, while Ji-yu and the rest followed behind unhurriedly. Not long after, a strange old tree appeared in front of them. This old tree should be the yin spiritual tree. There were about 8 or 9 light red fruits on the yin spiritual tree, which must be the yin spiritual fruit. In addition, there was a bramble demon dog resting beside the ancient tree. You guys go and lure it away first, then I'll go and pick all the yin spiritual fruits, then we'll distribute them. The burly youth immediately ordered. Hearing this, Zhuang Kunji frowned, clearly dissatisfied. At this time, Ji-yu also saw the bramble demon dog. In the next moment, he was shocked. Go. Ji-yu blurted out. What happened? Hearing Ji-yu's sudden voice, Zhuang Weiran had no idea what was going on. Qi Ling-er, Cheng Yeye and Cheng Jiangjiang were also shocked by Ji-yu's words. Don't worry so much, just follow me. The situation was urgent, and Ji-yu had no time to explain. Seeing Ji-yu's ugly expression, Zhuang Weiran and Qi Ling-er both realized the severity of the situation. They had never seen such an expression on Ji-yu's face before. Even though they didn't know what was going on, they decided to listen to Ji-yu. Although Cheng Yeye and Cheng Jiangjiang were still at a loss, they chose to follow Zhuang Weiran. Whatever Zhuang Weiran did, they would do. As for the burly youth and Zhuang Kunji, they didn't take Ji-yu's words to heart. They all thought that Ji-yu was scared out of his wits by the bramble demon dog and wanted to escape. But at this time, the bramble demon dog that was resting suddenly woke up and let out a terrifying roar. This roar was very unusual, and it had great penetrating power and lethality. The burly youth and Zhuang Kunji couldn't react at all, and they were defenseless against this roar. The roar went straight to the depths of their bodies. Their brains and souls were instantly attacked. Even the burly youth couldn't resist, and his face turned pale. The rest of the people were even worse, and they even knelt on the ground with a painful expression. Only Chen Chong was slightly better. Only Ji-yu was able to resist in time. His expression changed slightly, and he quickly threw out a defensive array diagram. Ding. Master activated a third-rank lower defensive array. Array attainment gained experience, 600 by 999 times. A defensive barrier appeared in a flash, covering Ji-yu, Zhuang Weiran and the 4 girls inside. Even so, it couldn't completely block that shocking penetrating power of the roar. But this was enough, the 4 girls didn't suffer much damage. As for Ji-yu, he wasn't affected in the slightest. But he couldn't be happy. Because, when he first saw the bramble demon dog, he felt that this bramble demon dog was extremely terrifying. Ji-yu couldn't see the true level of this bramble demon dog, which meant that its true strength was at least above his. Just broke through 3rd rank. This bramble demon dog was obviously pretending. In the end, the burly youth believed it was true. At this time, Ji-yu's expression was very serious. This bramble demon dog should be a 4th rank demon beast, which was equivalent to a human martial cultivator who had reached the spirit profound realm. Although he had the confidence to retreat, he couldn't protect Qi Ling and the rest. Chapter 308. This bramble demon dog of 4th rank or above has a huge body. At this time, it slowly got up, giving Ji Yu a stronger visual impact. Compared to the pregnant demon dog before, this demon dog is at least twice as big. Those sharp fangs, flashing a terrifying cold light. They saw the bramble demon dog slowly walking towards them. That incomparably heavy pressure made the burly youth, Zhuang Kunji, and the others' faces even more ugly. Only so few people came. Suddenly, the bramble demon dog opened its mouth slightly, and a majestic voice came out. The bramble demon dog's fist-sized eyes stared at them, like an emperor looking down on the common people. This demon beast can actually speak human language? They were all astonished. In fact, they were more afraid in their hearts. Because at least a 4th rank demon beast can start to imitate human language. This also means that the bramble demon dog in front of them is at least 4th rank or above. Facing a 4th rank demon beast, they have no room to resist. The burly youth, Zhuang Kunji, and the others' faces were ugly to the extreme. To be able to encounter a 4th rank demon beast in the inner area, there is probably nothing more unlucky in this world than this. Even Ji Yu's face was dignified. The inner area is generally the gathering place of 2nd rank demon beasts. 3rd rank demon beasts are very rare, at most not more than 3 to 5. Those 3 to 5 are just not able to mix in the core area, so they have to bow down to the inner area, so their strength is not too high. But now even a 4th rank demon beast has appeared. Zhuang Weiran and Qi Ling one on the left and one on the right, gently tugged at the corner of Ji Yu's clothes. Perhaps this will make them feel a little more at ease. As for Cheng Yeye and Cheng Jiangjiang, they subconsciously hid behind Ji Yu. Now that Ji Yu is the strongest human here, they can only rely on Ji Yu. At this time, the bramble demon dog's back suddenly shot out several sharp and slender thorns, flying towards the burly youth, Zhuang Kunji, and the others. Even Ji Yu found it hard to catch them with her naked eyes. She could only barely see a few black lines flashing past. Even Ji Yu, who was at the late stage of Tongxian realm, could not see clearly, not to mention those who were targeted by the bramble demon dog. However, the burly youth and Zhuang Kunji seemed to have already made preparations. The two of them used some unknown method and disappeared in the blink of an eye. The other 8 people were in a miserable state. All of them were pierced by the thorns shot by the bramble demon dog. Due to the ferocious impact, he was even sent flying several meters or even more than 10 meters away. Blood splattered everywhere. In a single exchange, all 8 of them had died. Even Chen Chong, who was at the 9th level of the defensive profound realm, died without any suspense. Moreover, Chen Chong was the most miserable. He was nailed to a large rock by the thorns that pierced through his body. He was already dead, and his feet couldn't even touch the ground. Even large cracks had appeared on the large boulder. Gravel and dust flew in the air. It was enough to show how terrifying the impact of these thorns was. Seeing this scene, Ji Yu couldn't help but feel a little frightened. If these thorns were shot towards him, he might be able to dodge. As a member of the royal family, Zhuang Weiran should also have some life-saving methods. However, Qi Ling and the rest would be in danger. 2 actually escaped. The bramble demon dog seemed to be slightly surprised to find that 2 people had escaped. Ji Yu didn't find it strange. That burly youth and Zhuang Kunji were both princes of the royal family. They definitely had life-saving methods. If the 2 princes died so easily, then he would find it strange. However, Ji Yu wasn't in the mood to think about this. If nothing unexpected happened, the bramble demon dog's next target would be them. His brain worked quickly, thinking of how to deal with the crisis in front of him. Facing such a ferocious 4th stage demonic beast, he couldn't help but break out in a cold sweat. He wasn't afraid of himself, but he had Qi Ling and the rest by his side. However, the bramble demon dog's next move shocked Ji Yu. The bramble demon dog lightly stepped, and the ground shook. It directly shook off 2 or 3 Yinling fruits on the Yinling tree. Looking at the bramble demon dog's move, Ji was suddenly stunned. However, he still didn't dare to act rashly. Instead, he cautiously probed the bramble demon dog. What is the meaning of this? Don't worry, I won't kill you. The bramble demon dog said calmly, you let my wife go earlier. These 3 Yinling fruits are my reward to you. Hearing this, although Ji was very surprised, he decisively went over and picked up the 3 Yinling fruits. He didn't doubt the words of the bramble demon dog king in front of him. After all, if the other party really wanted to kill them, he would have done so long ago. There was no need to waste so much words. The only thing that surprised him was that the pregnant female dog was actually the wife of the bramble demon dog king in front of him. He couldn't help but feel lucky that he let the pregnant female dog go. Not only did he save the lives of his people, but he also got 3 Yinling fruits. I don't like killing. It was these humans who hurt my wife. Naturally, they have to pay the price. It's a pity that 2 escaped. The bramble demon dog king said. Hearing this, Ji instantly understood something. It turned out that the injury of the female dog was caused by the 2nd prince and the 5th prince's team. This was so dramatic that Ji didn't know what to say for a while. You can go now. The bramble demon dog king continued, the rest of the Yinling fruits belong to me. Don't even think about it. Chapter 309. Let's leave now. Ji turned around and left without hesitation. Although the king of demon dogs seemed to be a little silly, no one could guarantee what a fierce beast would do at any time. If they could leave here safely, they should leave as soon as possible. The other 4 girls also quickly followed Ji. After seeing the scene of those people dying, they all had a lingering fear. When Ji and others were far away, the king of bramble demon dogs crawled on the ground again. It was also at this time that Ji, who had calmed down, remembered something. Before the yin spirit fruit was separated from the yin spirit tree, that is, before it was fully mature, the yin spirit tree would be full of very strong demon aura. This had a great effect on demon beasts. That was why the king of bramble demon dogs occupied the yin spirit tree. The 3 yin spirit fruits that had just been shaken down were also fully mature, so the rest yin spirit fruits that were not fully mature could not be distributed to them. But it didn't matter. Ji was already very satisfied to be able to save the lives of her own people, not to mention that she also got 3 yin spirit fruits. After this, everything was as usual. Except for the 2nd prince, the 5th prince, and Ji, no one knew what had just happened to the yin spirit tree. After all, the king of bramble demon dogs, a 4th-class demon beast, was there, so the monitoring formation could not be arranged there. At the same time, at each entrance of the monster mountain range. That's strange. Why only the 2nd prince and the 5th prince are there? Where are their teammates? I don't know. I saw them with the 6th prince's team, a total of 15 people walking together. Could it be that they encountered some powerful demon beasts? The 2nd prince and the 5th prince's faces are very bad, so it's very likely. It's a pity that the 6th prince's dark horse team was completely wiped out. At this time, on the screens at each entrance of the monster mountain range, the 2nd prince and the 5th prince were sitting on a stone and panting, looking very gloomy. Seeing this situation, it was inevitable that people wondered if something had happened. In the monster mountain range, the burly young man got up from the stone first. He was in a very depressed mood now and couldn't sit still at all. Now that he was the only one left in the team, the efficiency of hunting demonic beasts would be greatly reduced. There was still a long time before the beast hunting ceremony ended, and it was very likely that someone would overtake them in the end. Originally, he felt that he should be firmly in the first place, but now he felt uncomfortable. Zhuangyun, you kept saying that the demonic beast had just broken through to rank 3, but you actually lied to me. At this time, Zhuang Kunji's heart was filled with anger. He couldn't help but blame the burly young man. He even directly called out his 2nd brother's name. How would I know? That bastard was actually hiding his cultivation level. Zhuangyun was already depressed, and her tone became angry. But he quickly calmed down and said, "Forget it, there's no point in us brothers arguing here. Why don't we think about what to do next?" Zhuang Kunji, who was about to explode, was also appeased by Zhuang Yun's words. Indeed, he was right. The matter had already passed, so there was no point in arguing. "What else can we do apart from working together?" Zhuang Kunji said. "Cooperation is a must, but there is another way." Zhuang Yun said. "What is it? Tell me." Zhuang Kunji immediately asked. "That is to rob the weaker teams and take all of their gains. Naturally, we will be able to stabilize our ranking." Saying this, Zhuang Yun's eyes flashed with a sinister light. "Okay." Zhuang Kunji hesitated for a while, then nodded. In this situation, he could only be a bandit for once. There was no other way. "Then that's it, and I will explain it in detail." Zhuang Yun continued, "We will split the demonic beast skulls equally, and we will not interfere with each other's hunting. What do you think?" "Okay." Zhuang Kunji hesitated for a while, but could only nod. Zhuang Yun's rule seemed to be fair to both sides, but it was actually very disadvantageous to him. Originally, the points he accumulated from the demonic beast skulls were lower than Zhuang Yun's, and Zhuang Yun's cultivation level was much higher than his. In the end, Zhuang Yun's ranking could only be higher than his, and there was no possibility of him being lower than him. But Zhuang Kunji had no choice but to accept this condition. Right now, he was the only one left in the team. If he cooperated with Zhuang Yun, he was confident that he could get second place. On the other hand, if he didn't cooperate with Zhuang Yun and relied on himself, he might not even be able to get into the top 3. Zhuang Kunji felt helpless. In this kind of situation, what other choice did he have? Chapter 310. Yes. Zhuang Yun said, "I just don't know how Sixth Sister is doing. She should be fine. She must have something from father to save her life." Zhuang Kunji said, "But the other 4 in her team should be dead." Even though he didn't like Zhuang Weiran, he was still worried. After all, Zhuang Weiran was still his own flesh and blood. "I hope Sixth Sister is still alive." Zhuang Yun said, "If we can meet her, we can ask her to work with us." Hearing this, Zhuang Kunji couldn't help but frown. His second brother didn't seem to be worried about Sixth Sister's life and death. Instead, he wanted to use Sixth Sister. After that, Zhuang Kunji remained silent the entire time. He had to be more vigilant when he was with second brother Zhuang Yun. After this, Zhuang Yun and Zhuang Kunji didn't stay in the inner area. Instead, they went to the outer area. First of all, the teams that were hunting monsters in the inner area were more or less strong. It would be troublesome for the 2 of them to deal with them. Second of all, the screens at the entrance were mostly showing the inner area. There were very few screens showing the outer area. This made it easier for them to do certain things. Of course, this didn't mean that the arrays in the outer area weren't working. All the arrays were being monitored by the palace. It was just that they wouldn't show every image to outsiders. On the other side, Ji was dealing with something. That was to reasonably distribute the 3 yin spiritual fruits in his hands. However, the 4 girls all agreed to give them to him. In fact, they weren't alchemists. There was no need for them to use yin spiritual fruits to increase their soul power. Seeing that Zhuang Weiran and the others didn't want them, Ji didn't hesitate and gladly accepted the 3 yin spiritual fruits. However, after thinking about it, he gave them some pills that weren't of much use to him in his storage ring. Although they didn't do much before, he didn't like to eat alone. Giving them some pills that weren't of much use to him was a good idea. Anyway, those pills weren't of much use to Ji. Cheng Yeye and Cheng Jiangjiang are not very embarrassed. After hesitating for a long time, they accept Ji's medicinal pills. Zhuang Weiran didn't stand on ceremony at all. She took the pill and smiled, "Take this as a gift from you. I won't return it in the future." Ji just smiled faintly and didn't say anything. Only Qi Ling did not accept it. She looked at Ji's outstretched hand and her face gradually turned red. What happened? Ji couldn't help but ask when she saw Qi Ling acting in such a manner. Qi Ling bit her lower lip, as if she was too embarrassed to say it out loud. In her eyes, Ji Yu's actions were a little subtle. On top of that, Zhuang Weiran's words had unintentionally led her. It was as if Ji Yu was giving her a token of love. At the same time, Qi Ling also felt a little uncomfortable because Ji Yu didn't only give it to her. Instead, she gave it to everyone. Ji Yu naturally didn't know what Qi Ling was thinking. He just felt that it was very strange. Why are you hesitating? Just accept it. After saying that, Ji Yu directly stuffed an exquisite jade bottle into Qi Ling's hand. Even though the pills in the jade bottle were no longer of any use to him, if he were to give it to Qi Ling, it would take her 2 to 3 months to fully absorb its medicinal effects. Qi Ling was taken aback by Ji Yu's action, and she began to panic. His actions made her feel that he was giving her a token of love. At this moment, Qi Ling's heart was pounding like a little deer. Until now, she didn't realize that she had completely become an idiot in love. After dealing with the matter, Ji Yu immediately went to study the yin spiritual fruit. If he knew what Qi Ling was thinking, he would probably be dumbfounded. In fact, there was nothing much to study. Ji Yu directly threw a meatball-sized yin spiritual fruit into his mouth. He just wanted to see what the effects of the yin spiritual fruit were. The yin spiritual fruit had a unique texture. It melted into water immediately after entering the mouth. It was as if he had eaten nothing. With the help of the system, the water in the yin spiritual fruit disappeared instantly. Ding! Master has eaten a yin spiritual fruit. The effect has increased by 999 times. Unsurprisingly, the effect of the yin spiritual fruit was also increased by 999 times. At this moment, Ji Yu felt that his soul power had improved. Soul power was different from mental power and willpower. There was no difference in levels between soul power and willpower. Even so, he could clearly feel the increase in his soul power. After all, this was a person's soul power. The effect of the first yin spiritual fruit was excellent. Ji Yu immediately ate the remaining 2 yin spiritual fruits. Ding! Master has eaten a yin spiritual fruit. The effect has increased by 999 times. Ding! Master has eaten a yin spiritual fruit. The effect has increased by 999 times. As Ji Yu had lived 2 lives, his soul power was much stronger than ordinary people. After eating a total of 3 yin spiritual fruits, his soul power had increased by more than 1 level. However, what Ji Yu neglected was that Zhuang Weiran, Cheng Yeye, and Cheng Jiangjiang were watching him eat 3 yin spiritual fruits at the same time. They were all stunned. As for Qi Ling, she was still immersed in the token of love and didn't have the energy to pay attention to them. I say, you ate so many yin spiritual fruits at once. Are you sure you will be okay? Zhuang Weiran was the first to speak. Chapter 311. At this time, Ji Yu realized that there was a big problem with what he just did in front of Zhuang Weiran and the rest. With the system, he was completely different from normal people. No matter what pill or spirit item he took, there would be no side effects, and he would only absorb the effects. Because of this, he got used to it, and neglected the fact that he was very different from other people. I'm fine, my body is strong. Ji Yu smiled a little awkwardly. He could only explain it this way. Alright, as long as you're fine. Zhuang Weiran didn't think too much. Ever since she met Ji Yu had shocked her too much, and she was already used to it. Cheng Yeye was pure and didn't care too much. As for Cheng Jiangjiang, although she didn't say anything, she was thinking about a lot of things. In just 1 or 2 days, she found that this young man had many secrets. Besides his true identity being a mystery, his true cultivation was also a mystery. Including when he was attacked by the Bramble Demon Dog King's roar, this young man actually used a defensive array in the blink of an eye. And that defensive array was at least 3rd grade. Although as long as one knew a little about arrays, anyone could use the array diagram to activate the array. But to be able to activate a 3rd grade array in such a short time, Cheng Jiangjiang had rarely seen. At least, she didn't think she could do it that fast. In other words, this young man's array skills had probably reached a terrifying level. But there was also the possibility of a blind cat running into a dead mouse, which made her even more confused about this young man. And this time, even if Cheng Jiangjiang didn't know much about alchemy, she knew what Yinling fruit was. Taking 3 Yinling fruits at the same time was like taking 3 very high-grade pills at the same time. If it was a normal person, they would have been blown up by the terrifying energy and died on the spot. But this young man didn't even have the slightest effect. The more Cheng Jiangjiang interacted with him, the more she felt that this young man was a bottomless pit. She was more curious about this young man's true identity. However, it was worth mentioning that the Kanglan Empire was relatively closed off. Ji Yu's previous deeds could not reach the shattering army empire. Moreover, Cheng Jiangjiang was invited by Zhuang Weiran not long ago, so he just came to the Kanglan Empire a few days ago. In other words, Cheng Jiangjiang didn't know that there was someone like Ji Yu in the Kanglan Empire. This further increased Cheng Jiangjiang's curiosity. How could such a genius appear in the Kanglan Empire? Disregarding everything else, just in terms of cultivation, reaching the Tongxian realm at the age of 16 was a martial genius that didn't even exist in the shattering army's empire. Unknowingly, Cheng Jiangjiang stood in place and thought about these things for a long time. Ji Yu was about to leave when she noticed that Cheng Jiangjiang was still standing there in a daze. She reminded him, "Why are you standing there in a daze? Time to go." Oh. Only then did Cheng Jiangjiang regain his senses. She stared at Ji Yu's back closely, as if she could see through Ji Yu's heart. Feeling Cheng Jiangjiang's gaze again, Ji Yu was already used to it, so she didn't care much about it. "You too. Don't be distracted during the battle later." Ji Yu also noticed that Qi Ling was absent-minded, so she reminded her. He was also a little puzzled. Qi Ling was already fine, so why was she acting so abnormally now? I know. You don't need to remind me," Qi Ling retorted. She finally sobered up a little and didn't continue to think about what had just happened. However, she still treated the jade bottle as a very special keepsake. "It's good that you know. Next, let's hurry up and hunt the demonic beasts," Ji Yu said as they walked. Then, Ji Yu did gradually use a small part of her strength. Ding! Master has performed the first move of the Lone Peak 9 swords, Brilliant Sun in the Sky. Experience gained, 400 by 999 times. Ding! Master has performed the first move of the Lone Peak 9 swords, Brilliant Sun in the Sky. Experience gained, 400 by 999 times. Since the first move of the Brilliant Sun in the Sky was an Earth-grade sword technique, it was too eye-catching. Ji Yu only used the upper-grade profound-grade Lone Peak 9 swords. Although the power of the Lone Peak 9 swords was far inferior to that of the Brilliant Sun in the Sky, it could still kill second-grade demonic beasts as easily as cutting tofu. In this way, no matter what demonic beasts Ji Yu encountered, she would quickly kill them. This would definitely attract the attention of the spectators, but she had been suppressing her aura to the 9th tier of the defensive profound realm, and her sword technique was also very irregular. No one could see her true cultivation level, and no one could tell that she was performing the Lone Peak 9 swords. No one could recognize that she was Ji Yu. Chapter 312. Time passed quickly and the beast hunting ceremony was coming to an end. Ji Yu's sword was like a harvesting machine, killing countless beasts. Once the competition was over, all the contestants left the Beast Mountain range. Even if someone wanted to continue hunting beasts, the skulls wouldn't be counted as points. Ji Yu and the others were no exception. When the time was over, they immediately left the inner area. Everyone ran to the same exit. This was the place that was set before the competition so that everyone could hand in the skulls. Outside the Beast Mountain range, most of the audience had already arrived at the exit. The scene was rather chaotic because no one knew what the final rankings would be. Originally, they thought that the second prince's team would be the first and the fifth prince's team would be the second. But since they saw the second prince and the fifth prince acting alone, they hadn't seen the second prince and the fifth prince's whereabouts. Now, they didn't know what was going on. This was something that they didn't expect. The ones who felt the most uneasy were those who had already placed their bets. If an accident really happened, They were afraid that they would lose everything they had. After about 10 minutes, all the contestants arrived at the designated exit. A group of people was looking for the second prince and the fifth prince, but they found that only the second prince and the fifth prince came out together. Obviously, the rest of the second prince's team and the fifth prince's team were probably dead. A lot of people were instantly disheartened. But they still had some hope in their hearts and pinned their last hope on the ranking announcement. According to the rules of the beast hunting ceremony, after the competition, all the contestants had to hand over the storage ring containing the skulls to the palace staff for inspection. But the ranking results would only be announced after 3 days. Inspection, review, confirmation of points, confirmation of rankings, confirmation of rewards, and so on. Such a tedious process would take a lot of time. Ji Yu naturally understood the rules and handed over the storage ring containing the skulls to the palace staff. Which team? Who's the leader? The palace staff asked first. Zhuang Wei ran. After that, Ji Yu handed over the storage ring to the palace staff. But just as he was about to leave, he bumped into Zhuang Yun and Zhuang Chuanji. You're still alive? Zhuang Yun and Zhuang Chuanji were shocked. They all remembered that this young man was a member of Zhuang Weiran's team. Is there a problem? Ji Yu replied indifferently and walked back to Zhuang Weiran's side. Zhuang Yun and Zhuang Kunji's eyes followed Ji Yu's figure and discovered that Zhuang Weiran's entire troop was still alive. At this moment, they were so shocked that they were speechless. That was a 4th stage beast. If Zhuang Weiran was the only one alive, they could understand. But Zhuang Weiran's entire team of 5 was still alive. They didn't dare to believe it. However, Ji Yu didn't care what these 2 guys were thinking. It seems that the final results will only be announced in 3 days. There's no point in staying here. Let's go, Ji Yu said to Zhuang Weiran and the others. The 4 women had no objections and followed Ji Yu out. Ji Yu only cared about the final result. Whatever happened next had nothing to do with him. He only needed to announce the final result. At this moment, a bunch of carriages and coachmen had already stopped nearby. The beast hunting ceremony had a high flow of people. On such a good day, they naturally came to snatch business. Ji Yu casually asked for a carriage and the 5 of them sat down together. They were going to the ancient Yarogwang city and then take the spirit ship back to the king city. Zhuang Weiran and Qi Ling'er sat on the left and right sides of Ji Yu, while Cheng Yeye and Cheng Jiangjiang sat opposite. After a busy day, even the usually energetic Zhuang Weiran was tired. She fell asleep in a daze and leaned her head on Ji Yu's shoulder. Feeling the weight on his left shoulder, Ji Yu realized that Zhuang Weiran had fallen asleep. He wanted to call Qi Ling'er over and let Zhuang Weiran lean on her shoulder so that he could concentrate on cultivating. But he didn't expect that the weight on his right shoulder would also come. Qi Ling'er actually fell asleep at this moment. Ji Yu was speechless for a moment and could only sit there obediently. But he couldn't calm down and cultivate like this. TSK, TSK, TSK. At this moment, Cheng Jiangjiang's voice sounded. Cheng Yeye covered her eyes with both hands and a faint blush appeared on her face. In fact, she didn't cover her eyes at all and was staring at Ji Yu in a daze. The atmosphere was a little awkward. Ji Yu didn't know what to say. Chapter 313. What's wrong? She really didn't know what to say, so Ji Yu just said casually, nothing. Cheng Jiangjiang shook his head and said, I'm just curious why Zhuang Weiran trusts you so much and how many secrets you are hiding. At the end, Cheng Jiangjiang's tone became more and more serious. Maybe it's because I'm more handsome, Ji Yu said seriously. This sentence directly extinguished Cheng Jiangjiang's serious mood. Don't flatter yourself. Cheng Jiangjiang rolled his eyes at Ji Yu. Ji Yu kept this posture until the carriage arrived at the ancient city of Yarogwang. Fortunately, his physical fitness was very strong now, so he didn't feel tired at all. When the carriage arrived at the station, Ji Yu woke up Zhuang Weiran and Qi Ling'er. At this time, the 2 girls realized that they had fallen asleep leaning on Ji Yu's shoulder. Qi Ling'er was stunned, and in the next moment, her face flushed red. Not only was Zhuang Weiran not shy at all, but she was also in the mood to tease Qi Ling. After a while, Qi Ling became like a steam girl, and steam was about to come out of her head. Okay, don't go too far. Seeing this, Ji Yu immediately reminded Zhuang Weiran. Okay, Zhuang Weiran naughtily stuck out her tongue and didn't continue to tease Qi Ling. After getting off the carriage, the 5 of them bought tickets and boarded the spirit ship. Ding. Master cultivated Xian Qi for 1 minute. Martial arts cultivation gained experience points, 20 by 999 times. Ding. Master cultivated Xian Qi for 1 minute. Martial arts cultivation gained experience points, 20 by 999 times. Before the spirit ship arrived at the royal city, Ji Yu kept on cultivating. Royal city. When the time comes, the results will be announced in the palace. You can just stay at my place for the time being. Walking on the street, Zhuang Weiran said to Ji Yu and Qi Ling. I don't mind. Ji Yu said casually. Me too. Qi Ling chimed in with Ji Yu. The results will be announced the day after tomorrow. This way, I can bring you guys around the palace tomorrow to have some fun. Zhuang Weiran said happily. It took a day and a half to return from the ancient city of brilliant luster by spirit ship, so the day after tomorrow should be the day when the results would be announced. By the time they entered the palace, it was already late. The 5 of them returned to their respective rooms to rest. After Ji Yu returned to her room, she took off her mask. Lying in bed, he couldn't fall asleep for the time being, so he began to think about some things. Now that the beast hunting ceremony had ended, he had absolute confidence that he would be ranked first. In other words, he would soon be able to enter the palace's treasure vault to choose his treasures. In that case, it was time to plan his future path. The Evolving Temple's Kanglan Branch Hall and the Kanglan Empire Academy were undoubtedly Ji Yu's 2 biggest enemies. On the surface, the Kanglan Empire did not have a spirit profound realm expert. The number 1 expert was the Duke of Kanglan, Zhuang Tianqiu, whose cultivation had reached half a step into the spirit profound realm. Even if there were in secret, there would not be more than 5 of them. Basically, they were all old monsters who had been in seclusion for many years, and would not casually appear in public. Only the Demonic Beast Mountain Range had 4th-grade demonic beasts similar to the spirit profound realm experts. However, since the Kanglan Empire's historical records, the Demonic Beast Mountain Range had a mysterious power. Any demonic beasts of 4th grade and above could not step out of the Demonic Beast Mountain Range. Therefore, with Ji Yu's current strength, as long as his strength increased by another level, he would not need to fear the Evolving Temple's Kanglan Branch Hall and the Kanglan Empire Academy. In the future, Ji Yu would not hide her identity anymore. Counter soldiers with arms, water with an earth weir, there was no need to fear. After a night, they were full of energy. The next day, before the sky was completely bright, Zhuang Weiran woke them up. What are you doing so early in the morning? Before Ji Yu could wake up naturally, she was woken up by Zhuang Weiran. Didn't I tell you yesterday? Today, I'm going to bring you guys around the palace to play. Zhuang Weiran said with great interest. That's not necessary. Forget it, you can do whatever you want. Ji Yu was too lazy to say anything else. Since he was already woken up, he did not plan to continue sleeping. Hurry up and get up. Not only did Zhuang Weiran not feel that she did anything wrong, she even took advantage of Ji Yu and pulled off the blanket covering him. Wait. Zhuang Weiran's action was too sudden, and Ji Yu was not fully awake yet, so he could not react in time. Oh. At this moment, a valiant mysterious object appeared in front of Zhuang Weiran. She could not help but exclaim. I really have to hand it to you. Ji Yu said helplessly. Other than helplessness, he did not show any other expression. He was not that kind of pure and innocent boy, the one who should be panicking and embarrassed was not him. However, what surprised Ji Yu was that Zhuang Weiran did not show any panic or embarrassment on her face. She looked like she was just curious. To be honest, this is the first time I've seen such a thing on a man's body. It's actually so big. Zhuang Weiran had an eye-opening look on her face. There's no need to make a fuss, this is a normal physiological phenomenon. Ji Yu coughed lightly. After a while, Zhuang Weiran was still staring at Ji Yu. It made Ji Yu feel a little embarrassed, It was ridiculous. All right, stop looking, you go out first, I'll change my clothes. Ji Yu could not help but say. Chapter 3:14. Hearing Ji Yu's words, Zhuang Weiran left the room. Ji Yu changed into her daily clothes and put on the mask to change her appearance. After tidying up the room, he went out as well. Let's go. I already ordered the chef to make breakfast. It should be here by now. While talking, Zhuang Weiran brought Ji Yu to the hall. There was a large and luxurious round table with all kinds of delicacies. Qi Ling Cheng Yeye and Cheng Jiangjiang were also sitting at the table. After finishing a comfortable breakfast, Zhuang Weiran excitedly brought them around the palace. The entire palace was very big, much bigger than the Chenyuan martial house. They could see the guards patrolling the palace at any time and they would all bow to Zhuang Weiran. Speaking of which, why aren't you dressed as a man today? At this time, Ji Yu realized that Zhuang Weiran was dressed as a woman and asked, is it okay if other people see it? It's okay. I can dress as I want in the palace. Zhuang Weiran said, I will only dress as a man when I leave the palace. I see. Ji Yu nodded. The Duke of Kanglan really has a bad taste. He actually let his daughter dress as a man. At this time, Cheng Jiangjiang interrupted. It is indeed a bit of a bad taste. Ji Yu agreed. All right, let's not talk about this. Zhuang Weiran smiled and said, let me bring you to the place where we teach in the palace. The place where they teach, although Ji Yu had never seen it before, she was not very curious. Because every power would set up a place where they teach. A top power like the palace was no exception. No matter if it was the son of the Duke of Kanglan or the son of an ordinary royal family, they had to receive all kinds of education since they were young. They had to learn both civil and martial arts. The only thing that made Ji Yu slightly curious was what kind of education the royal family received since they were young. Ding. Master took a step forward. Earth rank low-grade profound skill lightning ray transformation gained experience, 1 by 999 times. Ding. Master took a step forward. Earth rank low-grade profound skill lightning ray transformation gained experience, 1 by 999 times. Not long after, Zhuang Weiran brought Ji Yu and the others to a mansion. This is. Ji Yu couldn't help but ask when she saw the mansion in front of her. This mansion didn't look very big. It was probably the size of a small family's mansion in the ancient city of the rising sun. However, it was much more luxurious than the Chenyuan martial mansion. What he did not expect was that there was such a mansion within the palace. So this is the academy set up by our palace. Zhuang Weiran replied. Oh, so this is the academy. Ji Yu's face was filled with surprise. It had to be said that the palace really put in a lot of effort in the education of the future generations. It was hard to estimate the amount of money needed to build such an independent and luxurious academy. Although I'm a student of the Kanglan Empire Academy, I've never been to the Kanglan Empire Academy before. It's more comfortable to stay in the academy. Zhuang Weiran said as he walked into the academy. In reality, she was just being lazy. There were fixed classes in the Kanglan Empire Academy every day. As for the academy, she had received so many years of education here. Now, she only needed to come once or twice a week. Compared to before, she definitely wouldn't want to go to the Kanglan Empire Academy. So, are you here to attend classes? Ji Yu asked immediately. No, it's not easy to relax today. How could I attend classes? I'm just here to take a look. Zhuang Weiran said. As they chatted, they walked to the side of a house. Inside, there seemed to be a lecturer teaching the children of the royal family. Ji Yu listened for a while and realized that it was about martial arts. She instantly lost interest. However, just as Ji Yu was about to go to the other classes, a new system notification sounded in her head. Ding. Master has listened to a martial arts class for 1 minute. Martial arts cultivation experience gained, 1 by 999 times. Only then did Ji Yu realize that not only could one gain 999 times the experience in alchemy by listening to alchemy classes, One could also gain 999 times the experience in martial arts cultivation by listening to martial arts classes. However, it was still meaningless. It was just a waste of time with so little experience. Alright, this class ends here. Just then, the lecturer also finished his class. The children of the royal family walked out and bowed to Zhuang Weiran when they saw her. Just then, a voice sounded. Weiran? I didn't expect to meet you so soon. Hearing this, Ji subconsciously turned to look. She saw a handsome young man smiling at Zhuang Weiran as he walked out of the classroom. Who are you? Do I know you? However, Zhuang Weiran had a face full of confusion. Chapter 315. That young man choked. I'm Qin Xiaotong. Weiran, don't you remember me? I'm sorry, I don't remember knowing you. Zhuang Weiran's tone was cold, not giving him any face. And can you not call me that disgusting? At this moment, in her beautiful eyes, there was an obvious look of disdain. Hearing this, Ji Yu's interest was piqued. This matter was obviously developing in an interesting direction. At the same time, this conversation also attracted the attention of many members of the royal family. Isn't that Qin Xiaotong? The one who dares to speak to young Master Qin like that, is actually the sixth princess. I didn't think that the sixth princess would actually come today. Usually, I don't see the sixth princess in the academy more than a few times. How interesting. Qin Xiaotong has always been a hypocrite. On the surface, he looks like a gentleman, but in reality, he's an arrogant and lecherous person. Even he has a day where he's humiliated. Of course, he dares to call the sixth princess like that. If it were me, I wouldn't be nice to him either. It seemed that in the eyes of many royal family disciples, Qin Xiaotong's image wasn't very good. They all felt quite comfortable to be able to see Qin Xiaotong in such an embarrassing situation. After Zhuang Weiran's response and the surrounding discussions, Qin Xiaotong's expression turned ugly. Sixth princess, no matter what, I'm still the young master of the Alchemist Guild. You should at least give me some face. This time, Qin Xiaotong didn't dare to casually address Zhuang Weiran as he smiled. Oh, so you're the young master of the Alchemist Guild. Zhuang Weiran seemed to have just remembered who Qin Xiaotong was. However, her attitude and tone were still cold. It was as if she was a completely different person from how she treated Ji Yu. Today, I'm here to learn as an exchange student. Coincidentally, I met you, sixth princess. Isn't this fate between us? Qin Xiaotong didn't seem to care about Zhuang Weiran's attitude and revealed a fake gentle smile. This princess just happened to come here for some matters. It's not fate. Zhuang Weiran said indifferently. Isn't this fate? However, Qin Xiaotong continued to be thick-skinned. Don't be so formal. The aura of a young master was completely gone. Instead, it gave people the feeling that this guy was a hooligan. Hearing this, the royal family members and young men and women couldn't hold themselves back anymore. This Qin Xiaotong is simply too shameless. The sixth prince has clearly expressed that he is not interested in him, yet he is still pestering the sixth princess. I heard that this Qin Xiaotong is also pursuing a genius beauty called Yu Shuyun in the Alchemist Guild. Is he trying to have a foot in two boats? This guy is too lousy. Damn it, sixth princess, please don't be fooled by this guy. Just thinking about this kind of person makes me feel disgusted. That shouldn't be the case. Our sixth princess's standards are very high. How could she fancy such a scumbag? Everyone was furious. Although Qin Xiaotong could hear these voices, he didn't seem to care. He only wanted to get Zhuang Weiran, this stunning beauty, in his hands. He didn't care what other people thought of him. Sorry, this princess already has someone in her heart. Zhuang Weiran was very cold towards Qin Xiaotong from the start. What? Qin Xiaotong was stunned. Since when did Zhuang Weiran have someone she liked? He didn't even hear the slightest bit of news. It wasn't only him. The royal family members were also shocked. Everyone was instantly stirred up. Damn it, I never thought that the sixth princess already has someone she likes. I really want to know who that person is, to be able to gain the sixth princess's heart. Damn, I'm so envious. I really want to chop that person up. Ji-yu was still alright. He was just a little curious. With this guy's willful personality, who would he fall for? Chapter 316. Wei Ran, don't make such a joke. Qin Xiaotong said with a stiff smile. He couldn't believe that Zhuang Weiran already had someone she liked. Even he, the young master of the Alchemist Guild, couldn't win her heart. In the entire Kanglan Empire, there were only a handful of people who were better than him. Who's joking with you? Zhuang Weiran said without hesitation, the person I like is Ji-yu. Her words shocked everyone. The atmosphere was suffocating. Everyone was stunned, including Qin Xiaotong. Even Ji-yu himself was stunned. He almost thought that he had heard wrongly. He felt that it was strange. How did Zhuang Weiran fall for him? Cheng Yeye and Cheng Jiangjiang were shocked. Cheng Yeye was surprised that Zhuang Weiran really had someone she liked. In fact, she didn't even know who Ji-yu was. She originally thought that Zhuang Weiran was pretending to be in love with Qin Xiaotong. But now that she even pointed out his name, it was unbelievable. Cheng Jiangjiang was surprised that Zhuang Weiran liked someone. She originally thought that Zhuang Weiran had something going on with the young man called Yu Mu. She didn't expect that Zhuang Weiran actually liked someone else. She didn't know who Ji-yu was either. Cheng Jiangjiang subconsciously looked at the young man beside her and found that the change in his expression was quite obvious. She couldn't help but feel pity for this guy. The person she liked someone else. However, Cheng Jiangjiang didn't expect that the young man was Ji-yu himself. At this moment, Qi Ling'er was shocked. Previously, it was Zhuang Weiran who incited her to reveal her true feelings to Ji-yu. So she didn't expect that this person actually liked Ji-yu too. Ji-yu and I like each other. Do you have a problem with that? Zhuang Weiran said calmly. As she said that, she inadvertently glanced at Ji-yu. When she saw the change in Ji-yu's expression, she couldn't help but smile slightly. As soon as these words came out, the surrounding people came back to their senses. Ji-yu. It's that prodigy Ji-yu, right? I didn't expect him to be together with the sixth princess. I've heard of that Ji-yu too. She seems to be quite famous. I heard that her martial arts strength has reached the second tier of the Kanglan Empire. I wonder if that's true. It should be true. The news has been spreading for so long, but no one has come out to deny it. In that case, Ji-yu and the sixth princess are a match made in heaven. Yes, compared to Qin Xiaotong, I still think that Ji-yu and the sixth princess are more compatible. Everyone began to discuss this matter. Ji-yu was a little speechless. How come he didn't know when he and Zhuang Weiran fell in love with each other? At this time, Qin Xiaotong also recovered from the shock. When he heard the surrounding voices, his face instantly became gloomy. Ji-yu, why is it Ji-yu again? Qin Xiaotong's face was especially ugly. Before this, he had already seen Yu Shuyun as his. However, a while ago, he heard that Yu Shuyun had an ambiguous relationship with a young man. That young man was Ji-yu. This time, it was actually Ji-yu again. He, Qin Xiaotong, rarely liked women. In the past, even if other women were to throw themselves at him, he would not be willing. However, the only two women that he liked, Yu Shuyun and Zhuang Weiran, had an intimate relationship with Ji-yu. Since he had already fallen to such a state, Qin Xiaotong did not have the face to continue staying here. With a gloomy face, he quickly left. He knew that the young man named Ji-yu was very strong. However, no matter who it was, as long as they dared to provoke him, Qin Xiaotong, he would not let them off easily. At this time, Qin Xiaotong just happened to pass by Ji-yu. However, he did not know that the young man beside him was Ji-yu. Ji-yu did not even look at Qin Xiaotong. It was as if he had directly ignored the other party. He was thinking about Zhuang Weiran. Ji-yu thought that Zhuang Weiran must have deliberately lied to get rid of Qin Xiaotong and used his name as a shield. Therefore, he did not take Zhuang Weiran's words to heart. At the side, Qi Ling'er looked at Ji-yu with a complicated expression. She wanted to immediately ask Jiyu, but the current situation was not suitable. Chapter 317. In fact, Qin Xiaotong just left temporarily. He still had other classes to attend. As an exchange student, he had to stay in the academy the whole day. Even when Qin Xiaotong was far away, Jiyu did not look him in the eye. Let's go and have a look at other places. At this time, Zhuang Weiran said. Okay. Jiyu nodded slightly. Ding. Master has taken a step. The experience gained from the inferior Earth rank skill, Thunder Light Transformation, is 1 by 999 times. Ding. Master has taken a step. The experience gained from the inferior Earth rank skill, Thunder Light Transformation, is 1 by 999 times. Next, Zhuang Weiran brought Jiyu and the rest to walk around the academy. On the way, Jiyu didn't ask about what happened just now. He felt that Zhuang Weiran deliberately said that to get rid of Qin Xiaotong, so he didn't care about it. Only Qi Ling'e was very anxious. She was eager to find a chance to ask Jiyu. After going around the academy, Zhuang Weiran took them to other places in the palace. Not long after leaving the academy, Qi Ling'e couldn't help it. She went forward and pulled Jiyu's clothes, whispering, "Come with me." Although Jiyu didn't know what Qi Ling'e wanted to do, he still let Qi Ling'e pull him. Seeing that Jiyu and Qi Ling'e suddenly left, Cheng Yeye and Cheng Jiangjiang stopped. However, Zhuang Weiran seemed to have seen through them. She smiled slightly and said, "Let's continue. They will follow us later." "What's the matter?" After being pulled to a corner by Qi Ling'e, Jiyu couldn't help but ask. Just holding hands with Jiyu, Qi Ling'e was so shy that her face turned red. After a while, she calmed down and gathered her courage to say, "She said that you are in love with each other. Is it true?" Jiyu didn't react for a while, but immediately understood. "Oh, you are talking about Zhuang Weiran." She was just joking. Joking? Qi Ling'e asked in confusion. "Yeah, didn't that Qin Xiaotong keep pestering her?" Jiyu casually voiced her opinion. "Didn't she say that just to get rid of Qin Xiaotong?" "Really?" Qi Ling'e asked dubiously. However, Jiyu's facial expression looked very natural. It didn't seem like she was lying at all. "Of course it's true. Not to mention whether she really likes me or not, at least I don't have that kind of feelings for her," Jiyu said. Qi Ling'e nodded and heaved a sigh of relief in her heart. Knowing that this was a joke, she was naturally happier. But if Jiyu and Zhuang Weiran really loved each other, she would only give her blessings. After all, she understood that she was just an outsider. If it wasn't for Zhuang Weiran's help, she wouldn't have been able to see her true heart. If Zhuang Weiran really liked Jiyu, not only would he not mind her, but he would also help her reveal her true feelings to Jiyu. How could she have the nerve to mind Zhuang Weiran? Besides, she didn't even have the courage to like Jiyu. Was she qualified to interfere with Jiyu liking someone else? The only ones qualified to interfere were Jiang Yuchu and Jiang Yushin. Thinking of this, Qi Ling'e couldn't help but feel a little sad. Until now, she still didn't dare to have a deeper contact with Jiyu. Even when they were just holding hands, she couldn't help but feel a little afraid. But in the next moment, Qi Ling'e suddenly cared about something. Since Jiyu said that he didn't have that kind of feelings for Zhuang Weiran, then, did he not have that kind of feelings for her? Qi Ling'e was very concerned. Unfortunately, this time, she didn't have the courage to ask. Qi Ling'e was afraid that Jiyu really had that kind of feelings for her. If that was the case, she wouldn't know how to face Jiyu. But at the same time, she was afraid that Jiyu didn't have that kind of feelings for her. If that was the case, her chances of fighting for him would become slim. Such a self-contradictory heart made Qi Ling'e feel even more painful. Perhaps it was best for her to maintain this kind of ignorant and unclear relationship. Chapter 318. Zhuang Weiran and the other two had not gone too far. Soon, Jiyu and Qi Ling'e caught up with them. After wandering around the palace for half a day, Zhuang Weiran finally stopped. "It's about time to go back." Zhuang Weiran stretched her muscles, revealing her proud curves as she said in a lazy tone. Coincidentally, at this moment, a familiar person walked over from the opposite side. It was the fifth prince, Zhuang Kunji. Ji Yu and Zhuang Weiran were not surprised. This was the palace, so it was not strange to meet Zhuang Kunji. Zhuang Kunji was slightly stunned, then his face quickly darkened. Until now, he was still very concerned about what happened at the beast hunting ceremony. They encountered the king of thorny demon dogs, a fourth-grade demonic beast. Other than him, the other 4 members of the team died. However, Zhuang Weiran's team survived. Zhuang Kunji would never believe that there was nothing fishy about it. Zhuang Kunji lowered his head slightly and walked past Ji Yu and the other 4. Although there was no conflict between them, Ji Yu could sense that Zhuang Kunji was hostile. However, he did not care as long as Zhuang Kunji did not provoke him. For the rest of the time, Ji Yu cultivated in her room. Ding. Master cultivated martial arts for 1 minute. Martial arts cultivation gained experience. 10 by 999 times. Ding. Master cultivated martial arts for 1 minute. Martial arts cultivation gained experience. 10 by 999 times. Ding. Congratulations, Master. Martial arts cultivation has successfully broken through to the peak of LV6 Tongxian. In the middle of the night, Ji Yu's cultivation finally reached the peak of LV6 Tongxian. A few days ago, when she was hunting demonic beasts in the Demonic Beast mountain range, there were faint signs of a breakthrough. Today, she finally broke through. The next day was the day the beast hunting ceremony's ranking would be announced. Don't be in a hurry. We'll go after the results are announced. Originally, Ji Yu was already prepared to set off, but she heard Zhuang Weiran say, "Why?" Ji Yu asked in confusion. "You don't know, but every time this kind of ceremony is held, there will be a lot of messy and complicated ceremonies." Zhuang Weiran said, "Rather than waiting there for half a day, why don't we wait for the results to be announced before heading over?" "That's true." Ji Yu nodded. Actually, he didn't really care. He was fine with anything. According to Zhuang Weiran's suggestion, Ji Yu and the rest should wait here. Just like what Zhuang Weiran had said, it dragged on until noon before the results were finally announced. As expected, they were ranked first. The only thing that surprised Ji Yu was the second and third place. Second Prince Zhuang Kunji and fifth Prince Zhuang Yun were actually ranked second and third, respectively. Logically speaking, since Zhuang Kun and Zhuang Yun had both lost their teammates, their rankings should have dropped. Who would have thought that those two would still be able to maintain their positions in the top 3? As for the rankings below, Ji Yu wasn't interested in them. Then, Zhuang Weiran changed into men's clothing. Going to a place with so many outsiders, she still had to appear as a man. The 5 of them headed to the House of Storms together, which was where the Duke of Storms was at. After the results were announced, the ceremony was over. Next was to prepare for the rewards. Naturally, they had to rush over. When the 5 of them arrived at the House of Storms, most of the people attending the ceremony had already left. The group of people walking out of the House of Storms immediately recognized Zhuang Weiran. Originally, they were quite shocked by the results. When they saw Zhuang Weiran, they immediately started discussing. "That's the 6th prince. He's finally here. Who would have thought that the first place would be the 6th prince's team? Yeah, luckily I didn't dare to bet recklessly this time. Otherwise, I would have lost so much." Not only that, they were absent from the ceremony. The ceremony is already over, yet you came so late. Only the 6th prince would dare to be so willful. Chapter 319. Inside the House of Storms. At this time, there were not many people left inside. Those who were still in the House of Storms were the teams that were preparing to receive the rewards of the monster hunting ceremony. A handsome middle-aged man in a dragon robe with a flat crown on his head walked in. He looked solemn and dignified. However, when he saw Zhuang Weiran enter the House of Storms, his expression changed and his dignified aura disappeared. "Weiran, you're finally here." The handsome middle-aged man smiled at Zhuang Weiran and said, "Now, we can begin the last step." The last step was naturally to give out the rewards. "Yes, father." Zhuang Weiran nodded slightly and brought Jiyu and the other three to their designated positions. It was obvious that this handsome middle-aged man was Zhuang Weiran's father. He was the current king of the Kanglan Empire, the Duke of Storms, Zhuang Qianqiu. Jiyu only took one look at Zhuang Qianqiu and realized that this man was very powerful and dangerous. He even felt that this man was more powerful than the dean of the Kanglan Empire Academy. It was no wonder that he was the most powerful man in the Kanglan Empire. At this moment, a minister started to give out the rewards. Zhuang Weiran, Yu Mu, Qi Ling Cheng Yeye, Cheng Jiangjiang. Team leader, please come forward to receive the rewards. The minister said loudly. Zhuang Weiran nodded her head and immediately walked forward. Then, she obtained 5 tokens. When the surrounding teams saw this scene, their eyes were filled with envy. These 5 tokens were all tokens for top-grade cultivation rooms, and they were all valid for up to 15 days. That was not the point. The most important thing was that the team that ranked first in the monster hunting ceremony could enter the House of Storms and pick any treasure they wanted. In the House of Storms, there were all kinds of heavenly treasures and godly weapons. Any one of them was extremely valuable. Unfortunately, they were not the ones who won the first place. They could only watch helplessly. Especially the second prince, Zhuang Yun, there was resentment in his eyes. The prize for the first place should have belonged to him. At this moment, Zhuang Weiran took the 5 tokens and distributed them to Jiyu and the rest. Zhuang Yun, there is only one person left in the team of 5. You are ranked second. Due to the special circumstances, the reward will only be given to one person. The minister continued. In the end, the top 10 teams all received their respective rewards and left the House of Storms one after another. Even Zhuang Yun and Zhuang Chuanji did not continue to stay in the House of Storms. At this moment, in the House of Storms, only the Azure Billow King Zhuang Tianqiu and Jiyu were left. Later, I will bring you to the palace's treasury. After he finished speaking, Zhuang Tianqiu paused. He looked at Jiyu and asked again, so, what is your true identity? There was a kind of majesty in his tone, as if no one dared to disobey. Royal father, this, Zhuang Weiran wanted to explain but was interrupted by Zhuang Tianqiu. This king knows very well that there is no such person as Yu Mu in the palace. Zhuang Tianqi's gaze remained fixed on Jiyu as he repeated, then what is your true identity? If it was an ordinary person, they would have long been scared silly by that sharp gaze that carried an invisible pressure. However, Jiyu was calm from beginning to end. Ding. Master resisted the pressure of a powerhouse. Bronze willpower gained experience, won by 999 times. Ding. Master resisted the pressure of a powerhouse. Bronze willpower gained experience, won by 999 times. Ding. Congratulations Master. Bronze willpower has successfully broken through to greater mastery. Unknowingly, there was a breakthrough in her willpower. I am Jiyu. Jiyu did not hesitate at all, and spoke very naturally. At this moment, Zhuang Weiran was slightly stunned. She wanted to help Jiyu fool her royal father, but she did not expect Jiyu to reveal her true identity. Qi Ling was also slightly shocked. Cheng Jiangjiang looked as if she had expected this. She knew that this guy was hiding his true identity. However, she did not know what the name Jiyu meant in the Kanglan Empire. Hearing this, Zhuang Tianqiu reacted quickly. You are that Jiyu from the Chenyuan martial house? Zhuang Tianqiu asked. That's right, it's me. Jiyu nodded. As he spoke, he tore off the mask on his face and revealed his true appearance. This time, Zhuang Tianqiu was completely sure. He had seen Jiyu's portrait and knew what Jiyu looked like. It was no wonder that he was able to maintain his composure and remain so calm under the pressure of his aura. Driven by curiosity, Cheng Jiangjiang carefully looked at Jiyu's appearance. She could not help but be surprised. She did not expect this guy to be so handsome. This king has heard Weiran mention you before. It seems that you have a close relationship with Weiran? Zhuang Tianqiu narrowed his eyes. It was not that he did not know that it was Jiyu who completed the mission. If that was the case, there should not be many interactions between them. However, he felt that this guy had a close relationship with his daughter. Chapter 320. Zhuang Weiran and I only know each other. Ji Yu lightly shook her head. Is that really the case? Zhuang Tianqiu didn't quite believe Ji Yu's words and questioned. Of course. Ji Yu calmly replied. Zhuang Tian's gaze became sharper as if he wanted to see through Ji Yu completely. But at this moment, Zhuang Weiran broke the heavy atmosphere. All right, father, don't dawdle here. Zhuang Tianqiu deeply looked at Ji Yu before compromising. Come with me. Ji Yu couldn't help but be speechless. Why did this Duke of Navy waves give her a strange feeling? Ding. Master has taken a step. Earth rank low-grade profound skill lightning ray transformation gained experience, 1 by 999 times. Ding. Master has taken a step. Earth rank low-grade profound skill lightning ray transformation gained experience, 1 by 999 times. Very quickly, Ji Yu and the rest followed Zhuang Tianqiu to the palace's treasury. You can go in and choose by yourselves. Hearing Zhuang Tian's words, the 5 of them immediately entered the palace's treasury. The moment they entered the palace's treasury, they could see all sorts of rare treasures neatly arranged everywhere. It was a little dazzling for a moment. If a person with difficulty in choosing came in here, they probably wouldn't be able to choose the treasure they wanted even after half a day. Because there were many treasures in the palace's treasury and none of them were bad. Ji Yu believed that his horizons were not short. But in this palace's treasury, there were only a few that he could recognize. Today was an eye-opener for him. 4th grade artifacts, Earth rank cultivation techniques, Earth rank profound skills, all sorts of secret techniques, all sorts of divine abilities, all sorts of elixirs, all sorts of heavenly treasures, etc. Even Ji Yu didn't know which treasure to choose for a moment. He thought for a moment and decided to walk around the palace's treasury. He would look through all the treasures and finally choose the most suitable one for him. After wandering around for a while, Ji Yu's eyes swept around quickly. At this moment, his eyes inadvertently swept across an old piece of blank paper. Following that, a system notification suddenly sounded. Ding. Master took a look at the 2nd volume of the King Stage Cultivation Technique Sky Splitter and activated 999 times comprehension ability. Ding. Congratulations to Master for successfully comprehending the 2nd layer of the King Stage Cultivation Method, Heaven Splitter. Ji Yu was shocked when she heard the 2 notifications. He was now both surprised and delighted. It had already been a long time since he had cultivated the 1st layer of the Heaven Splitter technique to perfection. However, he only had the incomplete manual for the 1st level, so he had been unable to cultivate the 2nd level. Who would have thought that he would actually find an incomplete manual of the 2nd level in the palace's treasure vault today? This meant that Ji Yu's physique would advance, and her cultivation speed would also increase by several levels. There was no need to think too much about it. Ji Yu decisively chose this wordless piece of paper. Ji Yu, have you chosen yet? Right at this moment, Zhuang Weiran seemed to have chosen as well. She walked over and asked. Ian, I've chosen. Ji Yu nodded. Where is it? Why can't I see it? Zhuang Weiran looked around but couldn't see what Ji Yu had chosen. It's this. Ji Yu showed the worn-out piece of paper to Zhuang Weiran. This, looking at the item in Ji Yu's hand, Zhuang Weiran was momentarily speechless. What's the use of this? She suspected that Ji Yu had suddenly become stupid. Of all the treasures to choose, why did he choose this worn-out piece of paper? She couldn't see what use this piece of paper had. Anyway, it's useful. Ji Yu was too lazy to explain so much and said directly. Furthermore, it wasn't convenient for him to reveal too much about the King Stage cultivation method. All right, if you think it's useful, then it's useful. Zhuang Weiran said. From the looks of it, Ji Yu didn't seem like he was joking. This meant that the worn-out piece of paper might contain some secrets. However, since Ji Yu wasn't willing to say it, she wouldn't ask. Next, Cheng Yeye, Cheng Jiangjiang, and Qi Ling'er also chose their treasures one after another. They walked out of the treasury together. Zhuang Tianqiu casually glanced at the treasures they had chosen. In the next moment, his gaze stopped on Ji Yu's hand. Are you serious about choosing this thing? Zhuang Tian's gaze sharpened as he immediately asked. I'm serious. Ji nodded in response. Zhuang Tianqiu looked at Ji in silence for a moment before saying, "Come with me for a moment." "Yes." Ji hesitated for a moment before replying. "What's going on?" Qi Ling couldn't help but feel a little worried when something inexplicable suddenly happened. "Don't worry, my imperial father won't do anything to Ji." Zhuang Weiran said, "Let's wait here for a while." Chapter 321. Zhuang Tianqiu slowly stopped when he reached a place where there was no one else. "What's the matter, Duke of Kanglan?" Ji immediately asked. "This king is just curious about one thing." Zhuang Tianqiu said, "Are you able to see the secret hidden in that piece of paper?" Ji immediately revealed a hesitant expression. "It seems that you can indeed see the secret inside." Zhuang Tianqiu smiled. "Don't worry, this king isn't trying to make things difficult for you. This king has studied that piece of paper before, but I only managed to learn a little about it before throwing it into the treasury. This king summoned you here to remind you that that piece of paper does indeed contain a very powerful cultivation technique, but it seems to only be a fragment of a page. This king doesn't recommend you to waste time on this. If you're willing, this king can allow you to enter the treasury again to choose another treasure." Zhuang Tianqiu quite admired Ji for being able to see the extraordinariness of that piece of paper. It was also because of this that he reminded Ji of this. Hearing Zhuang Tianqiu say so much, Ji also let out a sigh of relief. He thought that something had suddenly happened, but in the end, it was just a kind reminder from Duke of Kanglan. However, he didn't need to care about this at all. With the help of the system, he only needed to take a glance to instantly understand. "Many thanks for Duke of Kanglan's reminder," Ji modestly said, "but there's no need to choose another treasure." Hearing Ji's insistence, Zhuang Tianqiu didn't plan to continue persuading her. Originally, he only admired Ji. "Then this one will take his leave first." Ji was preparing to leave when she heard Zhuang Tianqi's voice again. "Wait, this king still has one more thing to say." As Zhuang Tianqiu spoke, his tone gradually changed. "This king doesn't care if you and Weiran are just acquaintances, this king still has to give you a warning. Don't even think about having any thoughts about Weiran." Seeing Zhuang Tianqi's dignified and serious expression, Ji was speechless. This Duke of Kanglan was simply holding his daughter in his hands as if she was a treasure. Now, he seemed to understand why Zhuang Weiran was always asked to dress as a man. "All right, you can go back now," Zhuang Tianqiu said. After that, Ji left. When Zhuang Weiran asked, he gave a simple explanation. He didn't even mention the more important things. He didn't say anything about the Duke of Storm's warning either. The beast hunting ceremony had finally come to an end. Cheng Yeye and Cheng Jiangjiang both went to the top-level cultivation room to cultivate. After the 15 days were up, they would return to the Shattering Army Empire. Before parting ways with Ji, Cheng Jiangjiang gave Ji a jade pendant, inviting Ji to visit the Shattering Army Empire's Cheng clan at any time. Although Cheng Jiangjiang looked down on Ji in the beginning, after experiencing so many things, she had completely lost her temper. From a normal person's point of view, anyone would think of ways to rope in a genius like Ji. Ji didn't reject and accepted the jade pendant. After that, Ji and Qi Ling returned to the Chenyuan martial house together. The moment Ji returned to the Chenyuan martial house, she was summoned by Master Murong. Chenyuan martial house, Violet Gold Hall. "I've heard that you, Zhuang Weiran, and 2 other girls from the Shattering Army Empire won first place in the beast hunting ceremony," Murong Zili said. Ji nodded slightly and continued to listen to Master Murong. "Linga didn't cause you any trouble, right?" Murong Zili asked. She was concerned about Qi Ling. "Well, I wouldn't say that it's trouble," Ji said, "it's just that her personality suddenly changed and I'm not used to it. Other than that, she's fine." "Personality changed?" Murong Zili was puzzled. After that, Ji gave a simple explanation of what had happened to Mansion Master Murong. "I understand now. So that's what you're talking about." Murong Zili smiled and said, "Actually, that's Ling Er's true personality. When Ji-yu saw the hint of a rare smile on Clan Master Murong's face, he could not help but be stunned for a moment. However, what really surprised her was what Master Murong said. Chapter 322. True Personality. Ji-yu asked curiously and doubtfully, "What's going on?" "That's what I mean. That's Ling Er's true personality," Murong Zili said. "All of this can be traced back to 5 years ago." Ji-yu listened carefully. After listening for a long time, Ji-yu basically understood the ins and outs of the matter. Qi Ling was born in the Qi family of the Wanshan Empire. When she was very young, her mother passed away. Her mother's status in the family was very low, and she was also treated as a bastard by the other members of the family. Qi Ling father, as the head of the family, had never treated her as his own daughter. He was either indifferent or scolding her. She also had an elder brother, but he was her half-brother. Compared to her, their status was like heaven and earth. He had never treated her as his biological sister. The worst thing was 5 years ago, when Qi Ling was 12 years old. In order to satisfy her elder brother's perverted selfish desires, her father tied her up and imprisoned her, allowing her elder brother to violate her. Fortunately, at that time, Master Murong was traveling in the Wanshan Empire and happened to be in the Qi family's mansion. Before Qi Ling was violated, he saved her and brought her back to the Chenyuan martial house to cultivate her. Otherwise, the consequences would be unimaginable. However, the experience when she was young left a deep psychological shadow on Qi Ling. From being naive, cute, and shy, she became extremely disgusted with men. She subconsciously felt disgusted with men. Even if Ji-yu didn't experience these things himself, he couldn't help but feel angry. He really didn't expect that there would be such a twisted father and elder brother in this world. Most importantly, they were both family members. "I'm telling you this because I hope you can tolerate Ling a little," Murong Zili said. "She's actually a very silly and naive girl." "Well," Ji-yu slowly responded. Through this change in Qi Ling personality, he could see it. At this time, Ji-yu had returned to his room. He temporarily put those heavy things behind him and prepared to start to improve the second stage of the sky-splitting technique. However, before he improved the sky-splitting technique, Ji-yu planned to cultivate his qi first to see what kind of changes would occur after he comprehended the second stage of the sky-splitting technique. Ding. Master has cultivated Shen Qi for 1 minute. Martial arts cultivation experience gained, 20 by 999 times. Hearing the system notification, Ji-yu understood that the cultivation effect had been doubled. Now that he had comprehended the second layer of Sky Splitter, it meant that his physique had advanced to the first-grade spirit body. Then, Ji-yu immediately took out the piece of white paper and began to upgrade the Sky Splitter technique. Ding. Master has read the second volume of Sky Splitter for 1 minute. The experience gained from the second tier of Sky Splitter is 1 by 999 times. Ding. Master has read the second volume of Sky Splitter for 1 minute. The experience gained from the second tier of Sky Splitter is 1 by 999 times. A day passed just like that. Although there was no breakthrough in the second layer of the Heaven Splitter technique, Ji-yu could clearly feel that the technique had improved, and her physique had also advanced to the second-grade spirit body. "I'll cultivate my Shen Qi again to see how effective it is." Ding. Master has cultivated Shen Qi for 1 minute. Martial arts cultivation experience gained, 30 by 999 times. As expected, the cultivation effect had also improved. There wasn't much to do recently, so Ji-yu continued to focus on upgrading the Sky Splitter technique in the room. Ding. Master has read the second volume of Sky Splitter for 1 minute. The experience gained from the second tier of Sky Splitter is 1 by 999 times. Ding. Master has read the second volume of Sky Splitter for 1 minute. The experience gained from the second tier of Sky Splitter is 1 by 999 times. Ding. Congratulations, Master. The second level of Sky Splitter has successfully broken through to the initial success realm. After another 2 days, Ji-yu finally upgraded the second level of Sky Splitter to the initial success realm. Her physique had advanced to the third-grade spirit body, and the cultivation effect had also improved. However, at this moment, there was a knock on the door. Ji Yu was immediately disturbed. This was the first time in 3 days that the door was knocked on. Ji Yu, Yushin and I are looking for you. At this moment, Jiang Yuechu's voice came from outside the door. Chapter 323. Hearing that it was Jiang Yuechu and Jiang Yushin, Ji Yu immediately opened the door. What's the matter? Ji Yu looked at the two girls and asked. It's like this. Now that Yushin and I have reached the 5th level of the defensive profound realm, it's time for us to go back and accept the inheritance. Jiang Yuechu said. Inheritance? Ji Yu couldn't help but be curious. It's our Jiang family's inheritance technique. Only our family members who have reached the 5th level of the defensive profound realm can cultivate it. Jiang Yuechu explained. She originally wanted to ask Ji Yu if she wanted to accept the inheritance with them. But after thinking about it, she decided to forget about it. With Ji Yu's current strength, she probably wouldn't be interested in their mystic middle-level inheritance technique. I've reached the 5th level of the defensive profound realm now. How is it? Amazing, right? Jiang Yushin raised her head proudly, as if she wanted Ji Yu to praise her. Yes, you've worked hard. Ji Yu patted Jiang Yueshin's head honestly. Jiang Yushin could reach the 5th level of the defensive profound realm so quickly, which was somewhat out of his expectations. She had indeed worked hard. Jiang Yushin immediately showed a comfortable expression. Yushin and I have already told the mansion master that we'll be returning to the Chaoyang ancient city for a while, and the mansion master has agreed. Jiang Yuechu continued, this time we're just here to inform you. I see. Ji Yu nodded slightly, and after a while said, why don't I go back with you guys? If he let Jiang Yuechu and Jiang Yushin go back, he would be a little worried. After all, the branch of the evolving temple must be watching in the dark. It was just that there hadn't been a chance to do so. But won't this delay your time? Jiang Yuechu wasn't stupid. She knew that Ji Yu was facing a lot of powerful enemies now. In order not to delay Ji Yu, she didn't even look for Ji Yu a few days ago when Ji Yu came back. Of course not. Ji Yu smiled and said, then it's settled. When you guys are leaving, I'll leave with you guys. All right. Jiang Yuechu followed Ji Yu's suggestion, we'll be leaving soon. After informing Mansion Master Murong, Ji Yu returned to the Chaoyang ancient city with Jiang and Jiang Yushin. This time, the Chaoyang could take the ancient could take the spirit ship directly could take the Chaoyang city. This time, Ji Yu did not use a mask to disguise himself. Instead, as usual, he wore a white robe. Ding. Master's training master has cultivation experience gained cultivation 80x 99999 times. Ding. Master has practiced martial arts for 1 minute. Martial arts cultivation EXP gained 80 by 999 times. She had just broken through the 2nd stage of the Sky Splitter to the minor accomplishment realm, and it was in the high-class room of the spirit ship that had double the effect. Before arriving at the destination, Ji Yu had been cultivating her celestial Kai in the high-class room. After arriving at the Chaoyang city, Ji Yu and the other two entered the City Lord's mansion smoothly. With the two daughters of the City Lord's mansion, Jiang Yuechu and Jiang Yushin, there was no need for Ji Yu to show up. All the trivial matters in the Chaoyang city could be easily solved. Now that Jiang Yuechu and Jiang Yushin had gone to receive the technique inheritance, they probably wouldn't come out for at least 10 days to half a month. Ji Yu and Jiang Zhongtian chatted casually for a while before returning to their residence in the City Lord's mansion. In the room, Ji Yu continued to improve the Sky Splitter. Ding. Master has read the 2nd volume of the Sky Splitter for 1 minute. The experience gained from the 2nd stage of the Sky Splitter, 1x 99999 times. Ding. Master has read the 2nd volume of the Sky Splitter for 1 minute. The experience gained from the 2nd stage of the Sky Splitter, 1x 99999 times. Ji Yu originally planned to stay in the City Lord's mansion to improve her technique realm before Jiang Yuechu and Jiang Yushin finished receiving the inheritance. However, on the 2nd day, Jiang Zhongtian told Ji Yu a piece of news. It was the Nangong family's request for help from Bright Moon Ancient City. From the letter, it could be seen that the Nangong family had encountered a lot of trouble recently. Upon hearing that it was the Nangong family, Jiyu thought of Nangong Morching and Nangong Yunshin. Chapter 324. From the letter, she found out that ever since Chaoyang Ancient City was unified, the City Lord's mansion in Bright Moon Ancient City had started to stir. As one of the two great alchemy families in Bright Moon Ancient City, the Nangong family was viewed as a thorn in their side. The City Lord's mansion of Bright Moon Ancient City had allied with the other great alchemy family, the Wu family, to pressure the Nangong family. Not only did they target the Nangong family, but they also forcefully sealed off the Nangong family's trading area. With the trading area sealed, the Nangong family couldn't do business and could only secretly trade with others. If this continued, the huge Nangong family would not be able to hold on sooner or later. They had no choice but to ask for help. After roughly understanding the Nangong family's situation, Ji Yu and Jiang Zhongtian were discussing how to deal with this matter. "Do you want me to send some people over?" Jiang Zhongtian told her his plan. "No need." Ji Yu said, "It's better for me to go personally. It should be settled in less than a day." With his current strength, there was no one in Bright Moon Ancient City who could be his opponent. No matter what, the Nangong family was their ally now. If he could help, he would help. It wouldn't take much effort anyway. That works too. At this moment, Jiang Zhongtian had a strange expression on his face. "Why do I feel like you're doing this for Miss Nangong?" "Maybe, but not entirely." Ji Yu was silent for a moment before replying. Not only Nangong Morching, but also that Nangong Yunshin, he was quite familiar with them. He really couldn't deny that there was some worldly wisdom involved. "I'll prepare later and we can set off soon." With that, Ji Yu left. Looking at Ji Yu's departing figure, Jiang Zhongtian couldn't help but smile. "It's so good to be young." Ding. Master has used Lightning Luster Transformation. Lightning Luster Transformation obtained experience 1000 by 999 times. Ding. Master has used Lightning Luster Transformation. Lightning Luster Transformation obtained experience 1000 by 999 times. Ding. Congratulations Master. The Earth Rank Inferior Profound Skill Lightning Luster Transformation has successfully broken through to the Great Achievement stage. Ding. It has been detected that Lightning Luster Transformation has reached the Perfection Realm, automatically upgrading to the Earth Rank Mid-Level Profound Skill Lightning Luster Flash. Since the distance between Bright Moon Ancient City and Rising Sun Ancient City was not far, Ji Yu directly used her movement technique and arrived at Bright Moon Ancient City in no time. At the same time, his movement technique had also made a breakthrough, and it had advanced to the Earth Rank Medium Level Lightning Flash. After arriving at Bright Moon Ancient City, Ji Yu discovered a phenomenon. The guards at the city gates were still as lax as before, but they could still see patrolling guards in the city at any time. He guessed that this should be the Bright Moon Ancient City's City Lord's mansion. It was to prevent the Nangong family from trading with others in the Bright Moon Ancient City. As for why the number of guards remained the same, it could be that the City Lord's manor didn't want to fight to the death with the Nangong family. Although it was troublesome to go to other ancient cities to trade with other factions, at least they could take a breather. If the lifeline of the Nangong family was completely cut off, even a dog would jump over the wall in desperation, let alone a large family with a strong foundation. Ji Yu followed the route in her memory and arrived at the Nangong family's mansion. Now that the Nangong family was in a tense situation, the mansion's security had become very strict. Before Ji Yu could reach the entrance of the Nangong family's mansion, she was stopped by a few guards. "Who are you?" The leading guard stood in front of Ji Yu and asked sternly. "Rising Sun Ancient City, City Lord's mansion." Ji Yu said a few words very calmly. At this moment, she was wearing a white robe that covered her face, so she didn't reveal who she was. The few guards were delighted, but in the next moment, their expressions changed again. Rising Sun Ancient City was the Nangong family's savior now. But after looking around, they didn't see a second person. Could it be that Rising Sun Ancient City only sent one person? How many people are with you? In order to confirm the situation, the leading guard asked. Only me, Ji Yu said calmly. Hearing this, the guard immediately revealed a look of astonishment. Chapter 325. The other guards were also speechless. It was not easy for them to ask for help from Chaoyang Ancient City, but in the end, they only sent one person. What were they trying to do? Although the Nangong nobles were in a weak position now, they did not have to trick them like this. They only sent one person and he looked very ordinary. They guessed that he would not be of any help. However, no matter what, he was from the city governor's mansion in Chaoyang Ancient City. Now that the Nangong nobles were attached to the city governor's mansion in Chaoyang Ancient City, the guards dared not act rashly. Mister, please come in. After the leader of the guards reacted, he forced a respectful smile and said. Ji Yu naturally noticed the changes on the guards' faces, but he did not care and did not say anything. Ding. Master has taken a step forward. Earth rank medium dark skill, instant thunder, gained experience, 1 by 999 times. Ding. Master has taken a step forward. Earth rank medium dark skill, instant thunder, gained experience, 1 by 999 times. The guard sent Ji Yu directly to the meeting hall. There were only 2 people in the meeting hall. One was a middle-aged man with an extraordinary temperament. He had his back facing them. The other was Nangong Morching. He seemed to be communicating with the middle-aged man. Our master is inside. Mister, you can go in directly. After doing what they were supposed to do, the guards returned to the mansion to continue guarding the gate. Ji Yu had heard that the master of the Nangong nobles, who was Nangong Morching's father, was called Nangong Yu. However, this was the first time he had met Nangong Yu. At the same time, Nangong Yu had already heard what the guards said. Under his order, there was only one possibility that the guards dared to let an outsider in. The person was sent by the city governor's mansion in Chaoyang Ancient City. Nangong Yu immediately turned around to see who was sent by the city governor's mansion in Chaoyang Ancient City. However, in the next moment, he could not help but frown slightly. Only one person came? Then, Nangong Yu subconsciously probed the cultivation of the man in white robe. Suddenly, his face changed slightly. He was shocked to find that he could not detect the cultivation of the man in white robe at all. There were only 2 possibilities for such a situation to occur. The first possibility was that the other party had no cultivation at all, so no matter how he probed, he would not be able to detect it. The other was that the other party's cultivation far surpassed his, so he wasn't qualified to investigate. In comparison, Nangong Yu was more willing to believe the latter. No matter what, the city lord mansion of Chaoyang Ancient City would not send a person with no cultivation base to support the Nangong family. Of course, he wasn't completely sure. What if the other party really didn't care about their lives and sent a person without cultivation to trick them? After all, even though the city governor's mansion of Chaoyang Ancient City had a strong foundation, it was impossible for them to casually send a mystic comprehending expert who was much stronger than him to help them. To be on the safe side, Nangong Yu decided to treat him as a powerhouse. Are you from Chaoyang Ancient City? Nangong Yu asked tentatively. Exactly. Ji Yu slowly walked into the meeting hall and replied. Nangong Morching did not speak, but his eyes were always on the white-robed man in front of him. She kept feeling that this white-robed man had a familiar aura. At this moment, when he heard the other party speak, Nangong Morching immediately felt even more familiar. All of a sudden, a certain figure subconsciously appeared in her mind. The figure in her mind almost overlapped with the white-robed man in front of her. In order to verify her guess, Nangong Morching quickly walked toward the white-robed man. Seeing his daughter's sudden action, Nangong Yu quickly asked, Morching, what are you doing? He was afraid that his daughter would suddenly do something stupid and offend the other party. If the other party was really a super powerhouse, the Nangong family would be doomed. Nangong Morching ignored Nangong Yu and walked straight toward the white-robed man. Without saying anything, she lifted the white robe on the other party's head. Then, Nangong Morching revealed a rare faint smile. It's really you. Chapter 326. As expected, it was Ji-yu. The figure that appeared in Nangong Morching's mind was Ji-yu. Nangong Yu was stunned when he saw the face of the white-robed man, no, the white-robed young man. When he saw this face, he couldn't react at first glance. He immediately recognized that the young man was Ji-yu. Nangong Yu had seen Ji-yu's portrait many times, so he definitely wouldn't be mistaken. Since it was Ji-yu, then it wasn't strange at all. This young man who stood at the second level of the Kanglan Empire's martial arts was obviously much stronger than him. Never in his wildest dreams would he have thought that his desperate request for help this time would actually involve a super powerhouse like Ji-yu. Nangong Yu was excited and overjoyed. His Nangong family would definitely be saved this time. You can even tell that it's me. At the same time, Ji-yu looked at Nangong Morching in surprise. When I heard your voice, I could almost tell that it was you. The faint smile on Nangong Morching's face disappeared and returned to its usual cold expression. All right. Ji-yu couldn't help but be speechless. He had just casually replied to Nangong Yu, but Nangong Morching could tell that it was his voice. He was very impressed. Nangong Yu opened his mouth slightly and was about to say something, but when he saw that the atmosphere between his daughter and Ji-yu seemed to be quite good, he consciously closed his mouth. If possible, he really hoped that his daughter would get along well with Ji-yu. He could also see that his daughter had a good impression of Ji-yu. Even heroes have a weakness for the charms of beautiful women. He felt that even if Ji-yu didn't have a good impression of Mo-ching, she wouldn't hate him. If they could get along with Ji-yu, a super genius who excelled in both martial arts and alchemy, their Nangong family would definitely soar. Therefore, Nangong Yu chose to keep his mouth shut and take this opportunity to let his daughter interact more with Ji-yu. Are you here to help us this time? Nangong Morching asked. Yes. Ji-yu said, let's try to resolve this within a day. His tone was incomparably calm, but it gave off a domineering feeling. Hearing this, Nangong Yu was slightly startled. He could not help but shake his head. Only this young genius could say such domineering words. The entire Nangong family had used all of their strength, but it was still difficult for them to face their current predicament. As for this genius young man, he planned to settle it within a day. Nangong Yu did not think that Ji-yu was bragging, because Ji-yu had every right to say that. Thank you. Nangong Morching thanked from the bottom of his heart. With Ji-yu around, all the worries in her heart disappeared and she was filled with a sense of security. Then, tell me what's going on. Ji-yu said. Nangong Yu was speechless. It was clearly the best time to attack Mo-ching. Why didn't Ji-yu say anything? Why did they start talking about official business? Nangong Yu was a veteran in the field of love. It seemed that Ji-yu was not mature enough. Nangong Yu could only shake his head regretfully. Little did he know that it was not that Ji-yu did not know these things. It was just that she did not have the time. As for the specific situation, our Nangong family's trade market has been sealed off. It's even difficult to trade privately with others. We can only send caravans to other ancient cities to trade. Nangong Morching explained in detail, the City Lord Mansion has greatly restricted our source of income. Meanwhile, the Wu family is constantly targeting us. Recently, many family members have been bullied by the Wu family. The other families are fine. Although they don't support us, they are not on our opposite side either. The City Lord Mansion and the Wu family probably saw how quickly our Nangong family has risen in recent years, so they want to suppress us once. After understanding the general situation, Ji-yu nodded. The City Lord Mansion and the Wu family in Bright Moon Ancient City only wanted to suppress the Nangong family. They did not want to annex or destroy the Nangong family, so their methods were not too harsh. This way, it would be easier to solve the problem. Chapter 327. I've already thought of a plan. Before he could finish speaking, Ji-yu's figure had already disappeared from where he stood. On the other side, Ji-yu was already gone before Nangong Morching and Nangong Yu could react. Although they still had many things to tell him, he was Ji-yu, so they weren't worried. Ding. Master has used lightning flash. Lightning flash gained experience, 3000 999 ek. Compared to the low Earth rank lightning change, the mid-Earth rank lightning flash was naturally faster. Moreover, flash of lightning was very similar to a teleportation ability. Bystanders wouldn't be able to see Jiyu clearly, let alone determine where he would appear in the next moment. In the blink of an eye, Jiyu had left the Nangong estate and arrived on the streets. There were many people on the streets, so no one noticed the white-robed man who had suddenly appeared out of nowhere. At this moment, Jiyu put on his white robe again to cover his face and casually bought a map from a roadside stall. After clearly seeing the direction of the Wu family on the map, Jiyu used his movement technique again. Ding. Master has used lightning flash. Lightning flash gained experience, 3000 999 ek. In the blink of an eye, Jiyu was already close to the Wu family estate. But just as he was about to enter the Wu family estate, he heard the sound of a commotion not far behind him. How dare you? Miss Yunshin has already joined the Alchemist Guild. So what? The Alchemist Guild won't interfere in the conflict between our two families, ha ha ha. Jiyu turned around and saw a good-for-nothing young man and 3 middle-aged men who seemed to be blocking someone in a corner. He took a closer look and saw that it was a beautiful woman and an old man who were trapped in the corner. The beautiful woman was actually someone he recognized, Nangong Yunshin. As for the other old man, he wore the Nangong family's uniform and was only at the 3rd level of the defensive profound realm. He should be an old servant of the Nangong family. The commotion just now came from this young man and the other middle-aged man. Right at this moment, that profligate young man spoke. You killed my brother, Wu Feng. Do you think I will let you go? That hedonistic young man stared at Nangong Yunshin with an unkind gaze. Nangong Yunshin frowned slightly but didn't say anything. I'll give you 2 choices. Either you become my concubine or you die. The spoiled young man said in a commanding tone. It was as if Nangong Yunshin had no room to refuse at all in his eyes. In fact, Nangong Yunshin really didn't have a 3rd choice. Her opponent was the young master of the Wu clan, Wu Jun, who was at the 2nd level of the defensive profound realm, slightly stronger than her. Not only that, but Wu Jun also had 3 5th level defensive profound realm fighters by his side. Nangong Yunshin and the old servant were no match for the 4 of them. At the same time, Jiyu, who was not far away, had more or less figured out what had happened. Previously, he had casually crushed Wu family's 2nd young master, Wu Feng, to death like an ant. Then, Wu Feng's eldest brother took the opportunity to settle the score with Nangong Yunshin. Furthermore, it just so happened that the Wu family and the Nangong family were at odds with each other. Since I've encountered them, I'll just take care of them while I'm at it. With that thought in mind, Jiyu's figure flashed and instantly appeared in front of Nangong Yunshin. Ding. Master has used lightning flash. Lightning flash gained experience, 3000 999 ek. Nangong Yunshin and the old servant were both stunned when a white-robed person suddenly appeared in front of them. This also alarmed Wu Jun and the 3 middle-aged men beside him. Who are you? Wu Jun felt that this white-robed person had ill intentions, so he asked with a gloomy expression. Jiyu remained silent because he couldn't be bothered to speak to a dead person. Whoosh. Before he moved, his sword had already moved. Cold blade was unsheathed. With a flash of sword light, 4 heads rolled on the ground. This was only the most basic sword drawing technique, but it was enough to instantly kill the 4 of them. Ding. Master has used basic sword technique, Dazzling Sun, 1st style. Obtained experience, 1 by 999 times. Chapter 328. Jiyu's casual slash was so fast that it almost left after images. Before Nangong Yunshin and the old servant could react, the 4 of them were already dead. Nangong Yunshin's mouth opened slightly, and her eyes flickered with extreme shock. She looked at the white-robed man in front of her in disbelief. Who exactly was this person? Nangong Yunshin was about to speak, but at that moment, the white-robed man disappeared again. Now, she wanted to know who the other party was even more. She did not believe that the other party was a stranger who happened to pass by. She felt that he must be someone she knew. To have such skills. Could he be the master of the house or a powerhouse in the clan? No. Nangong Yunshin felt that something was wrong. If he was really from the clan, he would not have left without saying anything. Also, she rarely left the Nangong estate, so she did not know many people, especially those with such skills. After eliminating the last possibility, Nangong Yunshin's heart suddenly skipped a beat. Could it be Jiyu? Ever since she bid farewell to Jiyu last time, Nangong Yunshin heard many shocking rumors about Jiyu. If those rumors were true, Jiyu was now a super powerhouse at the second stage of the martial Dao in the Kanglan Empire. Her strength matched that of the white-robed man just now. The more Nangong Yunshin thought about it, the more she felt that the white-robed man was Jiyu. Although it was a pity that she could not speak to Jiyu earlier, judging from the current situation, Jiyu was probably here to help the Nangong family. In other words, she still had a chance to see Jiyu again. Miss, let's return to the estate first. Only then did the old servant recover from his shock. It'll be more troublesome if the people from the city lord's estate see us later. Okay. Nangong Yunshin nodded. The two of them hastened their steps back to the estate. Even on the way back, Nangong Yunshin kept thinking about Jiyu. Ding. Master has used Lightning Flash. Lightning Flash gained experience, 3000*999 ek. At this moment, Jiyu had already arrived at the entrance of the Wu family estate. He did not have much time to catch up with Nangong Yunshin, so he simply did not reveal his identity. The guards at the entrance of the Wu estate were still talking and laughing merrily a second ago, but in the next second, they were all extremely frightened. This was because they had no idea when this white-robed man had appeared. Who is it? Call your patriarch out. Jiyu couldn't be bothered to talk nonsense with these guys and said directly, You. Hearing the other party's arrogant words, one of the guards couldn't help but scold. However, as soon as he opened his mouth, he was stopped by another guard. All of you wait here. Don't do anything on your own. The other guard had a solemn expression on his face as he said to the others, I will immediately inform the patriarch. Based on the words and actions of the white-robed man, his intuition told him that this person was definitely not ordinary. In this bright moon ancient city, how many people dared to run to the entrance of the Wu family estate and even directly shout at the family head? If he wasn't a fool, then he was a big shot with an extraordinary status. And he didn't believe that there would be many fools. For safety's sake, he felt that it was better to inform the patriarch first. Although the others didn't understand the situation, this was the captain's order and they didn't dare to disobey. A few minutes later, the captain of the guards walked out with a middle-aged man. Patriarch. Seeing the middle-aged man, the other guards all respectfully greeted him. Clearly, this middle-aged man was the Wu family's patriarch, Wu Lung. So you're looking for me, Wu Lung? Wu Lung looked at the white-robed man in front of him and probed with narrowed eyes. He had already heard about the situation from the captain of the guards. Moreover, he couldn't detect this person's cultivation, which meant that this person's strength was definitely above his. He couldn't help but be concerned that such an expert came to find him during such a sensitive period. I'm only here to give you a warning. It's best to terminate your cooperation with the City Lord estate right now. Otherwise, you'll end up like your son. Similarly, Jiyu didn't bother with the Wu family head and directly stated the purpose of his visit. What did you do to Jun? Hearing the other party's words, Wu Lung's expression abruptly changed as he coldly asked. Chapter 329. It's nothing. I just killed him along the way. Jiyu's tone was very calm, as if she was talking about something insignificant. You killed my son? Wu Lung was so angry that he almost vomited blood. Ever since Wu Feng was killed, he only had one son, Wu Jun. Furthermore, Wu Jun was very talented in martial arts and alchemy. He had entrusted the future of the family to his eldest son. Give me your answer. Jiyu did not say anything meaningless. You killed my Jun and still want to order me around? Do you think that's possible? Wu Lung glared at Ji and said through gritted teeth. At the same time, more and more onlookers gathered. What's going on? Family head Wu's son was killed. Jun he should be talking about the Wu clan's first young master, Wu Jun, right? This is bad. The Wu clan's first son is dead. Patriarch Wu is definitely going to flip out. I wonder where that person came from, to actually dare to make a move on young master Wu Jun, especially when they heard Wu Lung's voice. They were in an uproar. Then you can go and die too. Ji did not want to waste time talking to him. Before she finished speaking, Cold Blade was already out of its sheath. Ding. Master has used the basic sword technique, Brilliant Sun in the Sky, first form. Obtained experience, 1 by 999 times. Ding. Master has activated 50% of his sword Dao True Meaning. Experience gained, 500 * 999 ek. It was a very ordinary sword drawing technique, but it was mixed with a terrifying sword intent. The sword returned, and the person died. At the same time, Ji disappeared. Silence. Incomparable silence. Everyone was stunned. No one dared to believe what had just happened. Family head Wu was actually killed in an instant. That was a mystic comprehension expert. They did not dare to imagine how powerful that white-robed man was. Ding. Master has used Flash of Lightning. Flash of Lightning. Obtained experience, 3000 by 999 times. At this moment, Ji was already far away from the Wu family residence. As the head of the family, Wu Leng, was already dead. The Wu family would fall into chaos internally. The Wu family, which was on the verge of collapse, was no longer a threat to the Nangong family. Naturally, he didn't need to care about the Wu family. As for killing Wu Leng, Ji didn't feel anything at all. Originally, Wu Lung's second son, Wu Feng, was blind enough to provoke him and was killed by him. Wu Lung must have long wanted to cut him into 1,000 pieces. Therefore, he deserved to be killed. After that, Ji went straight back to the Nangong residence to look for Nangong Yu, the head of the Nangong family. What? Are you saying that Wu Lung is dead? Nangong Yu exclaimed in shock. He was not shocked because Ji had killed Wu Lung. After all, he knew that Ji had the ability to do so. He was shocked that Ji's methods were so swift and decisive. Ji had only left the mansion for a short while and Wu Lung was already dead. Yes. Ji nodded faintly and said, "You can go to the City Lord mansion now and tell them to behave themselves. Remember not to expose my identity first." Okay. Nangong Yu suppressed the excitement in his heart and immediately sent someone to pass the message to the City Lord mansion. He more or less understood Ji's thoughts. Now that the Wu family head was dead, if they passed the message to the City Lord mansion, it would definitely make the City Lord mansion anxious. As long as the City Lord mansion was wary, the Nangong family would win. After that, Nangong Yu specially arranged a high-end courtyard for Ji to rest in. Ji followed the route that Nangong Yu instructed and headed to the courtyard. However, not long after he walked out of the meeting hall, he happened to encounter Nangong Yunshin and the old servant who had just returned. "Young miss, look." The old servant first noticed Ji in a white robe and hurriedly said to Nangong Yunshin beside him, "That's the lord from before." Nangong Yunshin looked in the direction that the old servant pointed and really saw that white-robed man. At that moment, a trace of impulse surged in her heart and she could not help but grab that white-robed man's wrist. "Is it really you? Ji?" Chapter 330. How did you recognize me too? Ji's lips twitched. It was one thing for Nangong Morching to recognize him, but now, even Nangong Yunshin recognized him. He could understand why Nangong Morching recognized him from his voice, but he had never spoken in front of Nangong Yunshin. Ji was speechless. Did he really recognize him like that? "It's really you." Nangong Yunshin was delighted. Since she had been recognized, Ji did not continue to pretend. She immediately took off the white robe on her head. "Are you here to help the Nangong family?" Nangong Yunshin asked curiously. "That's right." Ji nodded. Ji's simple and monotonous answer made Nangong Yunshin speechless. Ji Yu asked when Nangong Yunshin did not say anything. Is there anything else? If not, I'll take my leave first. Yes. Nangong Yunshin said anxiously when she heard that Ji Yu was about to leave. Thank you for saving me earlier. It's nothing. It's nothing. Ji Yu said. Ji Yu left after that. Nangong Yunshin did not stop Ji Yu. She just stood there and watched Ji Yu leave. She made up her mind that even if it was impossible, she would still follow in Ji Yu's footsteps. She had already joined Bright Moon Ancient City's Alchemist Guild and was determined to make a name for herself in the Alchemy Conference next year. Then, she would head to the Alchemist Guild in the Monarch City to further her studies. Ji Yu had already arrived at the courtyard that Nangong Yu had prepared for him. He was waiting for the City Lord's estate's reaction. Less than an hour later, Nangong Yu sent a message saying that the City Lord's estate had removed all restrictions on the Nangong family and terminated their cooperation with the Wu family. This result was within Ji Yu's expectations. As long as this Bright Moon Ancient City's City Lord had a normal brain, he would not dare to provoke this mysterious expert with an unknown identity. This matter had more or less come to an end. Ji Yu was also preparing to return to Chaoyang Ancient City. Nangong Yu originally wanted to keep Ji Yu so that his daughter would have more opportunities to interact with Ji Yu. But after careful consideration, he gave up in the end. It was better to let nature take its course. If he was too forceful, it might be counterproductive. Ding. Master has used Lightning Flash. Lightning Flash gained experience, 3000 999 ek. Ding. Master has used Lightning Flash. Lightning Flash gained experience, 3000 999 ek. In less than half a day, Ji Yu returned to the city governor's mansion in Chaoyang Ancient City. While guarding Jiang Yuchu and Jiang Yushin, he was in the room improving the realm of the heaven-splitting technique. The efficiency of the old method of reading cultivation manuals was too slow. Ji Yu used the cultivation manuals to increase the realm of the cultivation manuals. Ding. Master has used heaven splitting. Heaven splitting gained experience, 10,000 999 ek. Ding. Master has used heaven splitting. Heaven splitting gained experience, 10,000 999 ek. Ding. Congratulations, Master. The king-level cultivation manual heaven splitting has successfully broken through to the mastery realm. Although the cycle of using the heaven splitting technique was very long, the efficiency was much faster than the old method of reading cultivation manuals. After 3 days and 3 nights, Ji Yu's heaven-splitting technique had reached the mastery realm. Her physique had also advanced to the 5th grade spirit body. Ding. Master has cultivated celestial chi for 1 minute. Martial cultivation gained experience, 60 999 ek. It could be seen that the experience gained from cultivating celestial chi had also increased. With the breakthrough in the cultivation manuals, Ji Yu walked out of the room and leisurely strolled in the mansion. Halfway there, he coincidentally bumped into Jiang Zhongtian, who was walking towards him. Ji Yu, I was just about to look for you. Jiang Zhongtian immediately said, I forgot to tell you before, we are going to hold an internal competition today. Are you interested in taking a look? Internal competition? Ji Yu thought for a moment and said, then let's go take a look. It just so happened that he wanted to relax, so it was fine to take a look. Chapter 331. Ji Yu followed Jiang Zhongtian to the venue where the competition was held. According to Jiang Zhongtian's introduction, this was a competition specifically for the younger generation to learn from each other. Even the younger generation of the clans under the City Lord's mansion could participate. In fact, Ji Yu could also participate. However, that would be too much of a bully. If he participated, the others wouldn't be able to play. Moreover, he wasn't interested in participating in this kind of small competition. It wasn't challenging at all. At this moment, there were many young men and women gathered in the venue, as well as people from various clans. These clans had long been under the control of the City Lord's mansion, so they could all participate in this competition. There were 5 arenas in the venue, so 5 matches could be held at the same time, saving a lot of time. There were already referees ready on each of the arenas, so the competition could begin at any time. Ji Yu and Jiang Zhongtian sat at a higher point, so they could see the entire arena. At this time, many people had already noticed the white-robed man sitting next to Jiang Zhongtian. They were all curious about who this white-robed man was. "Hey, did you guys see that? That white-robed man is sitting next to Jiang Zhongtian. I saw that." To be able to sit next to Jiang Zhongtian, his status is definitely not ordinary. Who can't see that? Do we need you to say that? What we care about is who that white-robed man is. Because Ji Yu was not in the City Lord's mansion for a long time, and Jiang Zhongtian was the vice mansion lord, so in these people's eyes, Jiang Zhongtian was still the mansion lord. Ji Yu could obviously hear the various discussions below the arena, but he had no intention of revealing his identity in front of these people. Very quickly, the mansion grand competition began. The head referee announced the rules of the competition in front of everyone. The rules of this year's Manor Grand competition are different from the usual ones. There are 2 rounds. From the first round, every participant will have to go through 10 rounds of sparring. Their opponents will be matched up, and the final results will be used to determine the preliminary rankings. After the preliminary rankings, the top 30 participants will advance, and the rest will be eliminated. From the second round, the top 5 participants will be the gatekeepers, and the remaining 25 participants can challenge any gatekeeper on the arena. Finally, the final ranking will be based on the total number of wins and losses. After the announcement of the rules, the head judge began to announce the ranking and rewards of the grand competition. As for the rewards for this year's competition, the top 5 to the top 10 can choose 1 superior second-grade elixir as their reward. The 4th and 5th can choose 2 superior second-grade elixirs as their reward. As soon as the head referee said this, many people in the stadium started to become active. The rewards of the grand competition this time had exceeded the expectations of many people. The top 10 were actually able to obtain a high-quality second-grade pill. If it was in the past, the rewards for the top 10 would at most be a low-grade Tier 2 pill, or even a Tier 1 pill, plus some useless things. At the same time, the head judge continued to announce the rewards for the top 3 finishers. The person in third place can choose an inferior Tier 3 pill. The second place can choose a medium grade 3 pill and 10,000 gold coins as a reward. The first place can choose a superior grade 3 elixir and a lesser grade 3 artifact as the reward. Hiss, after hearing the head judge's words, most of the people in the stadium could not help but gasp. The top 3 finishers were directly rewarded with third-grade elixirs, and the first place even had an additional third-grade artifact. Unfortunately, even if they fought tooth and nail, they would not be able to obtain these rewards. They could only daydream. Even Ji Yu was a little surprised when she heard these rewards. However, it was not strange when she thought about it. The governor's mansion had almost unified the entire Chaoyang ancient city. The benefits they could obtain from these families were many times greater than these rewards. In comparison, these rewards were just a drop in the ocean. Most of those families could not see this aspect, and they might even think that the governor's mansion was very generous. To put it bluntly, this time, it was equivalent to giving some benefits to make more people unswervingly loyal. Chapter 332. I feel that the first place in this year's competition will either be Chen Xing from the Chen family or Lin Yun from the Lin family. I think so too. Although the Chen and Lin family suffered heavy losses last time, they still have a strong foundation. Chen Xing and Lin Yun are both prodigies who have risen recently. I feel that Fang Junyi from the Fang family is not bad. I often hear news of her hard work in cultivation. Before the competition officially started, there were already many people predicting the final result. Ji Yu's ears automatically filtered out a bunch of useless news. The only thing he heard was someone mentioning Fang Junyi. He immediately realized that Fang Junyi was indeed going to participate in this prefectural grand competition. Ji Yu's interest was slightly piqued. He wanted to see if Fang Junyi could get first place in this competition. At this moment, the head judge started to arrange the first round of competition. Every participant would wear a badge on their chest. The badge would have the participant's number written on it. The head judge then drew numbers to match the participants. There were 5 arenas on the field. At the same time, there could be 10 people competing. When the first batch of 10 participants were all in place, the competition immediately started. Ding. Master has watched the competition for 1 minute. Martial cultivation experience gained, 1 by 999 times. Ding. Master has watched the competition for 1 minute. Martial cultivation experience gained, 1 by 999 times. You could also gain experience in martial arts cultivation just by watching other people's sparring matches. Although it was very little, it was better than nothing. About 10 minutes later, the first batch of 5 matches were over. The first batch of 10 participants, regardless of whether they won or lost, rested at the side. They would only start again after everyone else had been matched against each other once. There were only slightly more than 100 participants in this year's competition. They were all the elite disciples of the various families. There were fewer people, so the time spent was also shorter. More than half a day passed. Every participant had finished their 10 matches. The first round of competition also ended. Because they were all elite disciples, there was not a single participant who had lost 10 times in a row. However, there was only one person who had managed to win 10 times in a row. That person was Fang Junyi. Fang Junyi's performance this time made Ji see her in a new light. It hadn't been long, but Fang Junyi had already broken through from the peak of Defensive Profound Realm Level 2 to the late stage of Defensive Profound Realm Level 3. Such a rapid improvement was not in vain for him to put in so much effort for Fang Junyi in the Demonic Beast Mountain range. With a cultivation base of late 3rd level of the Defensive Profound Realm, he would naturally be able to sweep through everything in this kind of small-scale house grand tournament. Ji took a good look at them. Other than Fang Junyi, the strongest person was only at the early stage of the 3rd level of the Defensive Profound Realm. The rest of them were not even at the 3rd level of the Defensive Profound Realm. Speaking of which, Jiang Yuchu and Jiang Yushin just so happened to have gone to receive the inheritance. Otherwise, if the 2 of them were here, they would be able to massacre everyone. Fang Junyi's astonishing performance naturally attracted Jiang Zhongtian's attention. Ji, if I remember correctly, that Fang Junyi seems to be holding a grudge against you. Jiang Zhongtian said to Ji through telepathy. Many people in the City Lord's residence already knew that Fang Junyi treated Ji as an enemy who would not rest until she killed her. As for why no one came to find trouble with Fang Junyi, it was because there were some random rumors that said that City Lord Ji liked to flirt with Fang Junyi. That was why Fang Junyi flew into a rage out of humiliation. Since he liked to flirt with her, it was obvious that he was interested in her. That would be a big deal. Who would dare to touch the woman that City Lord Ji had chosen? However, no one would bother to find out if such rumors were true or not. As long as there was even a little bit of truth, they would treat it seriously. As such, for such a long time, Fang Junyi had almost never met with any trouble. Jiang Zhongtian also knew about these things, which was why he mentioned Fang Junyi to Ji. To be honest, he was also quite concerned about whether Ji was really like what the rumors said, and had ulterior motives towards Fang Junyi. Chapter 333. Well, you could say that. Fang Junyi had been clamoring for revenge, so Ji didn't deny it. Then what do you think of Fang Junyi? Jiang Zhongtian tried to change the topic. Nothing much. Ji replied casually. Ji's reply immediately cut off Jiang Zhongtian's intentions, leaving him at a loss for words. Since he couldn't bring up the topic naturally, Jiang Zhongtian could only give up. At the same time, the second round of the competition had already begun. It was the defending stage. There were only 30 contestants left. The top 5 contestants from the first round appeared first. They were Fang Junyi, Chen Xing, Lin Yun, Zhong Wutong, and Zhong Wuming. The 5 of them went to 5 different stages to defend the stage. The one who lasted until the end would be the winner, while the rest of the contestants would be ranked according to the number of matches they had won. Ji felt that there was no suspense in the final result. Fang Junyi would most likely win first place. He couldn't be bothered to watch this kind of child's play, so he settled down to cultivate his celestial Kai Ding. Master cultivated celestial Kai for 1 minute. Martial cultivation obtained experience points, 60 by 999 times. Ding. Master cultivated celestial Kai for 1 minute. Martial cultivation obtained experience points, 60 by 999 times. Time slowly passed, and the competition also came to an end. In the end, the one who defended the longest was indeed Fang Junyi. The other contestants all knew that there was a large gap between them and Fang Junyi. They would only be asking for trouble if they challenged her, so they might as well challenge the other weaker champions. After the final results were out, Jiang Zhongtian personally went to hand out the rewards. When Fang Junyi was receiving her rewards, she also took a look at Ji Yu. After the competition ended, Ji Yu strolled around the mansion for a while before returning to her room. The next day, Nangong Morqing came to visit. He said that the Nangong family head had overlooked something last time, so he specially sent Nangong Morqing to present a generous gift. This is a small token of our sincerity. Nangong Morqing handed a storage ring to Ji Yu. Ji Yu didn't dawdle and directly accepted the storage ring. Ding. Master has activated his spiritual power to open a 3rd grade storage ring. Bronze level spiritual power. Experience gained, 1 by 999 times. Discovering that this was a 3rd grade storage ring indicated that the Nangong family was indeed quite sincere. Currently, the highest grade storage ring on Ji Yu's body was only of the 3rd grade. Ji Yu glanced through the contents of the storage ring. Perhaps Nangong Yu knew that Ji Yu was not short of money, so there was not a single gold coin in the storage ring. Instead, there were all kinds of pills and alchemy materials, as well as some special pill recipes. The Nangong clan was an alchemy clan to begin with, so these things were not a problem. What Ji Yu was more interested in were those pill formulas. She would take a closer look at them when she returned. Then I'll have to trouble you to thank the Nangong family head on my behalf when you return. After accepting the storage ring, Ji Yu said to Nangong Morqing, "Are you going to chase me back so soon?" Nangong Morqing's eyes flickered with a hint of resentment. No, Ji Yu was a little confused and said, "If you don't go back, are you going to stay here?" He thought that he didn't say anything wrong. "It's not easy for me to come here. Aren't you going to take me somewhere?" Nangong Morqing said. "Where is there to go?" Ji Yu really didn't understand this guy. Nangong Morqing couldn't help but be a little speechless. He had already said so much, but Ji Yu still didn't say anything. "Anywhere is fine." Nangong Morqing's tone was a little tired. "Then let me think about it first." After saying that, Ji Yu began to think. He was thinking about which places in Chaoyang Ancient City were more fun. After a while, he could only think of one place that was barely good, and that was the Monster Beast Mountain Range. Although there were dangerous monsters living in the Monster Beast Mountain Range, there were still some places that were very good. "I know, the Monster Beast Mountain Range is not bad." Ji Yu then said, "If you're really bored, why don't you take a walk over there?" In his opinion, Nangong Morqing was purely bored. After saying that, Ji Yu turned around and was ready to go back to his residence. "Wait." But at this time, Nangong Morqing called Ji Yu, "Are you going to let me go alone?" "What else?" Ji Yu replied with a matter-of-fact look. The next moment, he reacted, "Do you want me to go with you?" This time, Nangong Morqing was completely speechless. She didn't know what to say to Ji Yu. Until now, she realized that this guy was so rigid. Chapter 334. Of course, Nangong Morqing was unwilling to go to a place like the Demon Beast Mountain Range alone. "Then what do you want?" Seeing Nangong Morqing shake his head, Ji Yu asked helplessly. "Can't you take me to familiarize myself with your Chaoyang Ancient City?" Nangong Morqing said bitterly. Ji Yu was speechless. He really felt strange. Why did he have to go with him? But after a while, Ji Yu compromised. "Okay, I'll take you to familiarize yourself with it." Anyway, he was quite leisurely now, so he didn't lack time. "Then let's go." Nangong Morqing's next move was bold beyond Ji Yu's expectation. She directly held Ji Yu's arm, looking very intimate. This guy, Ji Yu couldn't help but feel a little surprised. But he didn't say anything, and let Nangong Morching hold him and leave the city lord's mansion. At this moment, Ji Yu had already followed Nangong Morching to the street. Along the way, the passers-by who passed by them turned their heads. Of course, it was definitely not because of Ji Yu. After all, Ji Yu's white robe covered his face. Then, there was no doubt that it was Nangong Morching. Although Nangong Morching's face was covered with a veil, it couldn't hide his exquisite facial features. His cold and arrogant temperament made people even more reluctant to leave. Anyone could see that this was a beauty that could topple cities. Especially such a cold and arrogant beauty, but like a little woman holding someone's arm. Almost everyone wanted to know who this wretched white-robed man was. Feeling envy, jealousy, resentment, and countless other negative emotions cast on him, Ji Yu was completely speechless. On the other hand, although Nangong Morching didn't have any expression on his face, he seemed to be enjoying it. He seriously suspected that this guy was deliberately doing this to make him the target of public criticism. Tanghulu. Selling Tanghulu. Right at this moment, he heard a shout. It turned out that there was a child selling candied horse not far away. It was a little girl. Her clothes were simple and plain, and her tender face revealed a trace of delicacy. I want to buy a stick of candied horse. At this moment, Nangong Morching suddenly spoke. Ji Yu didn't say anything and just nodded slightly. However, Nangong Morching still did not intend to let go of his hand. He pulled Ji Yu and walked over together. Walking closer, Ji Yu was surprised to find that this little girl was actually the girl she had rescued from the bandit camp outside Snowwind Ancient City. Compared to that time, the little girl in front of him was very clean. It was obvious that she was living a good life now. He didn't know why this little girl would come to Chaoyang Ancient City from so far away. Little girl, give me a stick of Tanghulu. Nangong Morching's expression was still cold, but his tone was slightly gentler. All right. The little girl answered and then picked a stick of Tanghulu and handed it to the customer in front of her. At this time, she subconsciously looked up and was surprised. What a beautiful big sister. You will be very beautiful when you grow up. Nangong Morching said in a gentle tone. Thank you, big sister. The little girl smiled happily. Here. After taking the stick of Tanghulu, Nangong Morching immediately gave the little girl a gold coin. This is too much. The little girl almost jumped out of her skin in fright and repeatedly refused. It's okay. Just take it as a gift from big sister. Nangong Morching directly put the gold coin into the little girl's hand. The little girl was flattered. After hesitating for a while, she finally accepted the gold coin. At this time, the little girl noticed the man in a white robe next to Nangong Morching. She couldn't help but ask, is this big sister's husband? Even if she couldn't see the other person's face, she could see that it should be a man. However, just when Ji Yu was about to deny it, Nangong Morching answered first. Yes, he is my husband. With that, Nangong Morching deliberately held Ji Yu's arm tighter with a faint smile on his face. Chapter 335. Hearing Nangong Morching's words, Ji Yu was stunned. He was even a little dumbfounded. He didn't expect Nangong Morching to give such a reply. Especially when she called him husband, it made his scalp tingle. I wish big brother and big sister happiness every day. At this time, the little girl gave Ji Yu and Nangong Morching her blessings. Thank you. Since the little girl had put it this way, Ji Yu could only thank her. Hey! When the little girl heard the other party's voice, she immediately felt that it was familiar. But she couldn't remember it, so she thought it was just her imagination. Then, Nangong Morching chatted with the little girl for a while before saying goodbye to the little girl. Why did you make that kind of joke just now? After walking for a while, Ji Yu finally couldn't help but ask. What's wrong? Are you angry? Nangong Morching also asked. Not really. Ji Yu was just a little concerned. I wasn't joking just now. Nangong Morching's tone suddenly became more serious. Ji Yu's pupils suddenly trembled slightly, and he looked at Nangong Morching in surprise. Then, what's your answer? Seeing Ji-yu like this, Nangong Morching continued. At this time, Ji-yu really didn't know how to answer. The key was that he couldn't tell whether Nangong Morching was telling the truth or not. If he found out later that he was teased, wouldn't it be very awkward? At this moment, Nangong Morching suddenly changed his tone and teased, "Forget it, I won't joke anymore." Sure enough, you're teasing me. Ji-yu was speechless. It had even given him a fright. In the end, it was really teasing him. Whether it's teasing or not, who knows? A mysterious smile suddenly appeared on Nangong Morching's face. She lifted her veil slightly and gently bit off a stick of candied fruit. Then, she extended the stick of candied fruit towards Ji-yu. Looking at the tanghulu in front of her and that charming smile, Ji-yu was slightly stunned. What are you doing? What else can I do? Share it with you. Nangong Morching said. I don't like to eat things that are too sweet. Ji-yu refused. This was also why he didn't buy a stick of candied haws just now. Whether it was in his previous life or now, he didn't like to eat things that were too sweet. Do you want me to give you the one in my mouth? It's not that sweet anymore. Nangong Morching's pearly white teeth nibbled on the tanghulu, and the sugar slowly melted in her mouth. The bright red color of the tanghulu made her red lips appear even more alluring. Forget it, I don't eat things that you've eaten before. Ji-yu didn't want to be teased by Nangong Morching again, so she deliberately put on a look of disdain. Is that so? All right then. Nangong Morching then put the tanghulu into her mouth. At the same time, there were actually quite a few people around who recognized Nangong Morching's identity. Is that really Nangong Morching? Did I recognize the wrong person? I almost thought that I recognized the wrong person. Why did the usually cold and arrogant Miss Nangong become like this? Who is that guy next to her? Could he really be Miss Nangong's partner? Everyone in the surroundings was taken aback. They had never seen Nangong Morching like this before. They were very concerned about who the white-robed man was, to be able to make the famous ice beauty Nangong Morching become like this. Chapter 336. As Nangong Morching tasted the candied haws, she happily held onto Ji-yu's arm as they strolled along the streets. Along the way, they attracted a large wave of resentful gazes. Although Ji-yu didn't really care about the gazes of others, she felt that she had been tricked by Nangong Morching, so she was more or less a little unhappy. Let's go there and take a look. Right at this moment, Nangong Morching suddenly pulled Ji-yu and made a quick turn, walking into another path. Ji-yu didn't utter a single word as she followed Nangong Morching like a puppet. However, in the next moment, a slightly familiar figure suddenly appeared in front of Ji-yu's eyes. He took a closer look and was surprised to find that it was Fang Junyi. Ji-yu couldn't help but feel a little surprised. She didn't expect to coincidentally run into Fang Junyi on the streets. At the same time, Fang Junyi also saw Ji-yu and Nangong Morching. Although Ji-yu was currently wearing a white robe and her true appearance couldn't be seen, Fang Junyi had already guessed that this white-robed person could possibly be Ji-yu. After all, there weren't many people in the entire Chaoyang ancient city who could sit next to manor head Jiang. Now that she saw the white-robed man and Nangong Morching walking together intimately, Fang Junyi was even more certain of her guess. Previously, she had heard that Bright Moon Ancient City's extremely famous #1 beauty, Nangong Morching, seemed to have a close relationship with Ji-yu. However, she didn't know why. The intimate actions of Ji-yu and Nangong Morching in front of her gave Fang Junyi an inexplicable feeling in her heart. In any case, she just felt a little uncomfortable. Fang Junyi couldn't help but quicken her pace and unexpectedly blocked in front of Ji-yu and Nangong Morching. Her gaze was especially focused on Nangong Morching. With a stranger suddenly blocking in front of her and staring at her, Nangong Morching definitely couldn't ignore it. She also began to size up Fang Junyi in front of her. She just felt that it was a little strange. She clearly didn't know this person, so why did her eyes seem to contain a trace of hostility? Women had always been very sensitive in this aspect. Only Ji-yu didn't see the trace of strangeness in Fang Junyi's eyes. However, he didn't pay attention to it, so he naturally couldn't see it. May I ask, who are you? At this moment, Nangong Morching opened her mouth. My name is Fang Junyi. In the future, I will personally kill Ji. Fang Junyi's tone wasn't polite at all. Nangong Morching was silent for a moment before he turned to look at Ji. So she's here to look for Ji, but thinking about it carefully, that didn't seem right. Since the other party was Ji's enemy, why did it seem like she was targeting her? Nangong Morching still felt that this woman in front of her was very strange. Other than that, she didn't have any other thoughts. As for the other party's words of wanting to kill Ji with her own hands, Nangong Morching didn't take it to heart. Although her martial cultivation wasn't very high, she could tell that this woman in front of her was at most a 3rd or 4th level defensive profound realm cultivator. This kind of strength was no threat to Ji at all. Hearing Fang Junyi's words, Ji thought that Fang Junyi had indeed recognized her. When she saw him at the Manners tournament, she knew that Fang Junyi had very likely recognized her. I understand. Then Miss Fang, may I ask if you can move aside? Nangong Morching's expression and tone were as cold as ever. Fang Junyi didn't understand why she had such a strange feeling, so she didn't know what to say to Nangong Morching. She really couldn't think of anything, so her gaze shifted to Ji. I've always had my eyes on your life. Don't lose your mind because of some woman. Fang Junyi said coldly to Ji. Hearing this, Ji felt that Fang Junyi's words were filled with sarcasm, but it didn't seem to be directed at her. Nangong Morching immediately understood that the some woman Fang Junyi was talking about was obviously referring to her. She couldn't help but narrow her eyes, and the gaze she used to look at Fang Junyi gradually sharpened. Chapter 337. After saying those words, Fang Junyi directly walked past Ji and the other two. Seeing that the other party had left, Nangong Morching had nothing to say. What a strange guy. Nangong Morching watched Fang Junyi leave and muttered. She's just like that, don't worry too much. Ji said. So, you're quite familiar with that guy? Hearing Ji's words, Nangong Morching suddenly became more concerned. Sort of. Ji nodded slightly. If she had to say, they were quite familiar. As soon as her voice fell, she heard Nangong Morching snort softly. What's wrong? Ji asked. Can't you see that I'm jealous? Nangong Morching muttered in a low voice. Stop pretending. Ji immediately saw through Nangong Morching's act. Who would deliberately say that they were jealous? And with her understanding of Nangong Morching's character, she didn't seem like someone who would say such a thing. Nangong Morching didn't expect to be exposed immediately. He only felt a little embarrassed and was too embarrassed to continue pretending. Since Ji didn't follow the normal script, there was nothing she could do. It's about time to go back. At this time, Ji was too lazy to continue wandering around and wanted to go back to the City Lord's mansion. Don't be so anxious, accompany me for a walk. Nangong Morching said, by the way, didn't you say that there are many good places in the Demon Beast mountain range? Why don't you take me to have a look now? That's too troublesome, I won't accompany you. Ji was unwilling and directly refused Nangong Morching. Okay. Nangong Morching didn't continue to pester her. Ding. Master took a step, Earth rank intermediate profound skill lightning flash gained experience, 1 by 999 times. Ding. Master took a step forward. Earth rank mid-level profound skill lightning flash gained experience, 1 * 999 ek. Ji and Nangong Morching strolled around the streets for a while before returning to the City Lord's mansion. At this moment, in front of the main gate of the City Lord's mansion, Nangong Morching had already bid farewell to Ji and was preparing to take the carriage back to Bright Moon Ancient City. She recalled everything that had happened today, and the corners of her mouth couldn't help but curl into a smile. After that, until Jiang Yuchu and Jiang Yushin finished receiving the inheritance, almost no one came to disturb Ji. Ji stayed in the room and concentrated on improving her cultivation and cultivating her qi. Ding. Master has activated Sky Splitter. Experience gained from Sky Splitter, 10,000 * 999x. Ding. Master has cultivated Xian Qi, martial cultivation experience gained, 60 by 999 times. Ding. Congratulations Master, the King rank cultivation method Sky Splitter has successfully broken through to the perfection stage. Ding. Congratulations Master, martial cultivation has successfully broken through to the 6th level of the Tongxian stage perfection stage. After a few days, both the cultivation method realm and martial cultivation had broken through. On the 2nd day, Jiang Yuchu and Jiang Yushin had just finished receiving the inheritance of their family's cultivation method. Jiyu, we're out. At night, Jiyu had just finished showering and was wiping her body with a towel when she heard Jiang Yuxin's voice coming from outside the door. Jiang Yushin pushed open the door without saying a word, and did not ask Jiyu first. Fortunately, Jiyu had already put on her pants, and was only wiping her upper body naked. You. Why aren't you wearing your clothes properly? Seeing this, Jiang Yushin blushed. On the other hand, Jiang Yuechu's expression was calm. She had only seen Jiyu's bare upper body, not that she was completely naked. You're the one who barged in without permission, and now you're blaming me. Jiyu said helplessly. I don't care, it's your fault anyway. Jiang Yushin threw a tantrum. Yes, Jiyu did not intend to argue with Jiang Yushin, so she replied perfunctorily. He had just finished wiping his body and put on a clean and simple set of white clothes unhurriedly. Yushin, you're still so innocent when you're already engaged to Jiyu. What will you do when you enter the bridal chamber? At this moment, Jiang Yuchu whispered teasingly into his younger sister's ear. Chapter 338. How could Jiang Yushin withstand such teasing? Especially when she heard the word consummate, her face instantly turned red. Let's get down to business. At this time, Jiyu said, are you going to stay here or go to the Chenyuan martial house? Jiang Yuchu gently held Jiyu's hands. Jiyu, we can do whatever you want, as long as we won't drag you down. At this moment, Jiyu only felt that the softest part of his heart seemed to be touched. Thinking back, it was Jiang Yushin who had accompanied him through the darkest and darkest period, and Jiang Yuchu had helped him selflessly countless times. Now, although he had become stronger, he seemed to have put an invisible distance between Jiang Yuchu and Jiang Yushin. He was not a person who was good at expressing his feelings. All he could do was to cherish and protect this pair of sisters. In the past, he became strong for revenge. Now, he became strong for protection. At this moment, Jiyu was enlightened, and he recognized himself clearly. He also understood why he was pursuing strength right now. No, you can go wherever you want. I will protect you. Jiyu's tone suddenly softened. Okay, Yushin, and I will listen to you. Jiang Yuchu didn't argue or make trouble. In fact, she didn't want Jiyu to restrain himself for her and her sister. However, she knew Jiyu's character very well and understood that any dispute was meaningless. However, Jiang Yushin was different. You just need to take care of yourself. Why do you have to protect us? Are you looking down on me and my sister? She said unwillingly. What she meant was that she didn't want Jiyu to restrain himself. It was just that the way she expressed it was different from her sister's. Jiyu didn't say anything and smiled silently. From Jiang Yuchu and Jiang Yushin, he not only felt pure love, but also pure familial love. At the very least, he wouldn't be at ease until he eliminated all threats to Yuchu and Yushin. In the end, Jiang Yuchu and Jiang Yushin chose to return to the Chenyuan martial house. By staying by the manor head's side, Jiyu would not have to worry so much about them. Jiyu also respected Jiang Yuchu and Jiang Yuxin's opinions and didn't stubbornly stay by their side. However, his original intention to protect would not change. It was just a change of method. For example, right now, Jiyu was looking for information about the Kanglan Temple of the Evolution Temple, as well as looking for people from the Kanglan Temple. He wanted to find out exactly where in the Kanglan Empire the Kanglan Branch Hall was located. The information about the Azure Water Temple Branch Hall that he saw in the Thousand Treasure Pavilion didn't record the exact location of the Branch Hall. This was because the people of the Evolving Temple seemed to be very extreme. Before he could interrogate them, they had already used all kinds of methods to commit suicide. Therefore, Ji could only rely on himself to find out the location of the Azure Water Temple branch hall as much as possible. He completely erased Jiang Yuchu and Jiang Yuexin's names from the Azure Water Temple's list. That list referred to the so-called bounty list of the Evolving Temple branch hall. If anyone from the Evolving Temple could bring back any of the targets on the bounty list, they would receive the corresponding generous rewards. This was what Ji learned in the 1,000 Treasure Pavilion. If nothing unexpected happened, Ji should be the first target on the bounty list. However, he didn't care about this. He only wanted to erase Jiang Yuchu and Jiang Yuexin's names from the bounty list. Once their names were erased from the bounty list, Jiang Yuchu and Jiang Yuexin would no longer be threatened by the Evolving Temple. In the current situation, there was only one choice in front of Ji. Find the Azure Water Temple branch hall of the Evolving Temple branch hall, force his way in, and erase Jiang Yuchu and Jiang Yuexin's names from the bounty list. The degree of danger was self-evident. However, Ji had to take the initiative. Because those people's whereabouts were too secretive, if he didn't take the initiative, he could only wait for death. King City, Morning Sun Ancient City, Bright Moon Ancient City, and Brilliant Light Ancient City basically couldn't find any more information about the Azure Water Temple branch hall. Next, Ji planned to move to the other ancient cities. His first stop was Cloud River Ancient City. Chapter 339. He took the spirit ship to Yunchuan Ancient City. Previously, the Heaven Splitter had already broken through to the Perfection Realm, and Ji's physique had also advanced to the 7th grade spirit physique. Coupled with the double celestial chi in the high-class room of the spirit ship, Ji's cultivation was extremely effective. Ding. Master has cultivated celestial chi for 1 minute. Martial arts cultivation gained experience, 160 by 999 times. Ding. Master has cultivated celestial chi for 1 minute. Martial arts cultivation gained experience, 160 by 999 times. Before the spirit ship arrived at Yunchuan Ancient City, Ji's cultivation of LV6 Tongxian Realm was almost saturated. It could be said that he only needed an opportunity to break through to LV7 Tongxian Realm. Once he reached LV7 Tongxian Realm, he would not be afraid of anyone in the Kanglan Empire in a one-on-one situation. Before he knew it, Ji had arrived at Yunchuan Ancient City. The guards at the gate of Yunchuan Ancient City were not very strict. He entered the gate very casually and did not encounter any obstacles. Ji planned to go straight to the governor's mansion in Yunchuan Ancient City. If he wanted to inquire about important information like the Evolving Temple, he naturally had to go to the biggest power in Yunchuan Ancient City first. The governor's mansion was usually the most powerful power in the ancient city. Ji bought a map of Yunchuan Ancient City and walked according to the route shown on the map. However, not long after, he saw a dense crowd in front of him. It was very lively and noisy. With a curious mind, Ji walked over to take a look. He found that it was the gate of a mansion, and the sign on the door said Qing Mansion. Then, he roughly understood what was going on through the discussions of the passers-by. The Qing family was a big family in Yunchuan Ancient City, second only to the governor's mansion. Especially this year, the Qing family had a sword Dao genius with a carnate sword bone, which quickly overshadowed the governor's mansion. The carnate sword bone was also a kind of constitution. People with the carnate sword bone would have a much easier time cultivating sword Dao, mastering sword techniques, and comprehending sword intent than ordinary people. Qing Lingyun was the carnate sword bone that the Qing family said was rare. He was only 18 years old. Although his cultivation was not high, he had already comprehended 60% of his half-step saber intent. He was expected to comprehend true sword Dao before the age of 20, which was also known as sword Dao true meaning. In the eyes of everyone in Yunchuan Ancient City, Qing Lingyun was an out-and-out sword Dao genius. No one dared to question his sword Dao. Today, Qing Lingyun challenged all the martial arts geniuses in Yunchuan Ancient City in order to solidify his position as the #1 martial arts genius in Yunchuan Ancient City. The location was the martial arts arena of the Qing clan. As long as he was the #1 martial arts prodigy in Yunchuan Ancient City, he would be qualified to challenge all the sword Dao prodigies in the Kanglan Empire. All of this was to pave the way for his saber Dao. Today, there were many martial arts geniuses in Yunchuan Ancient City who wanted to meet Qing Lingyun. There were also countless passers-by who came to watch. The entire Qing family mansion was bustling with noise and excitement. At this moment, Ji Yu followed the crowd into the Qing clan estate. In reality, he was not interested in this kind of thing. However, he wanted to try and see if he could use this opportunity to comprehend Sword Dao. His system had infinite possibilities. No matter what he comprehended, Ji Yu would not find it strange. If he could really comprehend Sword Dao later, there would only be benefits and no harm to him. Why not? Soon, Ji Yu followed the crowd to the martial arts arena of the Qing clan estate. In the martial arts arena, two people could be seen sparring. One of them was holding a light blue treasured saber. An overbearing aura was constantly emerging from his body. The other person was barehanded. He was tall and burly. Regardless of whether it was his cultivation aura or physical strength, he was much stronger than his opponent. It was obvious that the person holding the treasured saber was Qing Lingyun, the innate stage sword bone. Suddenly, a system notification rang in Ji Yu's head. Ding. Master has taken a look at half-step saber intent. 999 times comprehension ability activated. Ding. Congratulations, Master. You've successfully comprehended 10% of half-step saber intent. Chapter 340. Just as Ji Yu had expected, he had really comprehended the half-step sword intent. He continued to watch the battle between the two in the ring to improve his half-step sword intent. Ding. Master has taken a look at the half-step sword intent. Experience gained from 10% half-step sword intent, 1 by 999 times. Ding. Master has taken a look at the half-step sword intent. Experience gained from 10% half-step sword intent, 1 by 999 times. Ding. Congratulations, Master. 10% half-step sword intent has successfully broken through to 20% half-step sword intent. As he watched, Ji Yu's sword intent broke through. Ji Yu had only used a few minutes to go from not knowing anything about Sword Dao to comprehending 20% half-step sword intent. The so-called innate stage sword bone was far inferior to his. It was also at this time that the battle on the ring was decided. Qing Lingyun had narrowly defeated his opponent with his extraordinary sword intent. There was a commotion below the ring. Even Yang Zun has been defeated by Qing Lingyun. Who else in Yunchuan Ancient City can be a match for him? It's really terrifying. Qing Lingyun's cultivation is only at the 3rd level of the defensive profound realm, but he relied on his 60% half-step sword intent to defeat Yang Zun, who was at the 5th level of the defensive profound realm. Now the title of the #1 martial arts genius is no longer Yang Zun, but Qing Lingyun. Yang Zun was the original #1 martial arts genius in Yunchuan Ancient City. Moreover, Qing Lingyun had already fought several battles with other geniuses. Although he had won quickly, he had expended some energy. In other words, Yang Zun had not faced Qing Lingyun at his peak. Even so, he had still lost to Qing Lingyun. I accept my defeat wholeheartedly. Yang Zun was not the kind of person who could not afford to lose, so he admitted defeat to Qing Lingyun. Qing Lingyun nodded slightly with a hint of arrogance on his cold face. Regarding this, Yang Zun didn't say anything and silently walked down from the martial arena. Many people around were dissatisfied with Qing Lingyun's attitude. He did not even show the most basic respect. However, they could do nothing but discuss below the ring. Who else? Qing Lingyun coldly glanced around, waiting for the next opponent to come up. However, after a while, none of the young geniuses dared to go up. After all, even Yang Zun had been defeated. They would only be asking for trouble if they went up. Seeing that there was nothing else to do, Ji Yu decided to leave. However, at this moment, Ji Yu felt Qing Lingyun's gaze on her. You are also a swordsman? Qing Lingyun stared at the white-robed man in the crowd and asked. So what if I am? Ji Yu narrowed her eyes and said indifferently. He did not expect that the other party would actually notice him. Perhaps this was the uniqueness of the innate level blade bone? Do you dare to fight me? Qing Lingyun asked. Just as Ji Yu had guessed, Qing Lingyun had indeed sensed that Ji Yu had comprehended half-step blade Dao because of her innate blade bones. If you insist on being tortured, then I don't have any objections. Ji Yu shrugged helplessly. He was about to leave, but Qing Lingyun insisted on competing with him. All of a sudden, all sorts of discussions broke out around them. Who is that guy in the white robe? He's so arrogant in front of Qing Lingyun. How dare he say that Qing Lingyun is looking for torture? Judging from his voice, he doesn't sound very old. None of the younger generation in Yunchuan Ancient City is a match for Qing Lingyun. He's just being pretentious. Those who are strong are pretentious, but those who are not are stupid. It's obvious that that guy is the latter. Almost everyone laughed at Ji Yu's words. In their opinion, even Yang Zun could not defeat Qing Lingyun. This guy who came from nowhere was just bluffing. What shameless boasting. Qing Lingyun also smiled disdainfully. He could feel that the other party's half-step blade Dao was only at 20%. However, he was about to break through to 70% half-step blade Dao. How dare a mere 20% half-step blade Dao be so presumptuous in front of him? You'll know whether I'm boasting or not when you try. At that moment, Ji Yu walked to the battle arena with a calm expression. Chapter 341. You make the first move. Qing Lingyun looked at the white-robed youth and said proudly. Ji Yu did not waste time. He waved his right hand, and a scarlet saber appeared in his hand. This was the medium grade 3 artifact that he had kept in his storage ring, the scarlet saber. Seeing this, Qing Lingyun's expression changed slightly. He could see that the scarlet saber in his opponent's hand was not simple. Qing Lingyun immediately released the aura of the half-step saber intent. The opponent in front of him seemed to be more difficult to deal with than he had imagined. However, in the next moment, the white-robed youth took a step forward and suddenly disappeared. Ding! Master has used Lightning Flash. Lightning Flash gained experience, 3000*999 ek. At this moment, Ji Yu used his movement technique and appeared in front of Qing Lingyun, waving the scarlet saber in his hand. Ding! Master has slashed once. Basic saber technique gained experience, 1/999 times. Ding! Congratulations Master, basic saber technique has successfully broken through to lesser mastery. Ding! Congratulations Master, basic saber technique has successfully broken through to mastery. Ding! Congratulations Master, basic saber technique has successfully broken through to impeccable mastery. Ding! Congratulations Master, basic saber technique has successfully broken through to greater mastery. Ding! Basic saber technique has been detected to have reached perfection. Automatically upgraded to inferior yellow rank saber technique, Tempest saber technique. A second ago, Qing Lingyun was still paying attention to the artifact in his opponent's hand. This happened so suddenly that he did not have time to react. Ji Yu waved his saber and cut open a hole in Qing Lingyun's chest. This was after he had suppressed his strength to defensive Mystic Realm level 9 and did not use his half-step saber intent. After all, he had no enmity with Qing Lingyun, so there was no need to kill him. He only needed to teach him a lesson. Even so, Ji Yu's attack was not something that Qing Lingyun could block. Qing Lingyun fell to the ground from the huge impact. He struggled to support himself with both hands as blood flowed from his chest and dripped to the ground. At this moment, the entire crowd was suffocating as if they were dead. Everything happened so quickly that it took the audience a full 3 seconds to realize what had happened. Qing Lingyun, who had the innate level saber bone, had actually been defeated. Furthermore, he was defeated without even being able to withstand a single blow. They couldn't believe what they were seeing. I haven't lost yet. Qing Lingyun forcefully propped herself up with her hands and spoke in an extremely weak voice. Not only him, but his innate level saber bone also did not allow him to admit defeat. You still want to struggle at death's door? Ji Yu looked down at Qing Lingyun coldly. I don't know if you've noticed, but I haven't used my saber technique or my half-step saber intent. The second half of the sentence caused Qing Lingyun's mental state to completely collapse. That was right. The other party had only used an extremely ordinary slash, and he was already unable to resist at all. No matter how hard he tried, he would still lose without a doubt. I lost, Qing Lingyun said with difficulty. After that, he couldn't hold on any longer. His entire body went limp as he laid on the ground. Why bother? Ji Yu shook her head slightly. If this fellow had not provoked her, he would not have ended up like this. She could only say that this fellow had brought this upon himself. Lingyun. At this moment, a middle-aged man with bloodshot eyes rushed to the stage like a madman. He hurriedly helped Qing Lingyun up as if to confirm whether Qing Lingyun was still alive or not. He's not dead yet. Ji Yu reminded the middle-aged man calmly and then turned to leave slowly. You hurt my son, and you still want to leave here? The middle-aged man glared at Ji Yu angrily. It was obvious that he was the head of the Qing family. If your Qing family doesn't want to be annihilated, don't provoke me. Ji Yu turned around and glanced coldly at the middle-aged man. At this moment, the middle-aged man felt as if he was being stared at by a ferocious beast. He could not help but tremble. An intense sense of danger that he had never felt before caused his earlier sharpness to vanish completely. Chapter 342. The middle-aged man didn't dare to make a sound as he watched the murderer of his son slowly leave. At this moment, countless gazes were on Ji Yu. Ji Yu seemed to be strolling in his own backyard, not putting the Qing clan in his eyes at all. When the Qing clan saw that the patriarch didn't move, they didn't dare to act rashly. Before Ji Yu completely left, no one dared to make a sound or move for a few minutes. When Ji Yu's figure completely disappeared, the entire crowd was in an uproar. Not only was Qing Lingyun defeated in one move, even the Qing clan patriarch didn't dare to make a move against the white-robed youth. At this moment, Ji Yu had already left the Qing clan residence. He didn't waste any more time and directly rushed to the city lord's residence. According to the route on the map, Ji Yu would soon reach the city lord's residence in Yunchuan Ancient City. Although the city lord's residence didn't allow outsiders to easily enter, Ji Yu didn't need to care about this. Ding. Master has used Lightning Flash. Lightning Flash gained experience, 3000 by 999 times. Ding. Master has used Lightning Flash. Lightning Flash gained experience, 3000 by 999 times. Ding. Congratulations Master. The Earth Rank Mid-Level Profound Skill Lightning Flash has successfully broken through to the Small Success stage. At the same time that the Lightning Flash broke through, Ji Yu entered the City Lord's residence without being discovered by anyone. Next, he tried to use his soul strength to sense the location of the City Lord, Yang Wen. Ding. Master has used Soul Strength. Soul Strength gained experience, 1 by 999 times. Now that Ji Yu's soul strength was very strong, he could easily sense that the person with the highest cultivation in the City Lord's residence was Yang Wen. Ji Yu immediately went in the direction that he sensed. Soon, he arrived at Yang Wen's room. Yang Wen, who was dealing with matters, suddenly discovered that an unfamiliar white-robed person had appeared in his room. He instantly became alert. Who are you? Yang Wen asked cautiously. To be able to enter the room without him noticing, there was no doubt that the other party's strength was above his. How could he not be careful in the face of such a mysterious expert who appeared out of nowhere? I'm Ji Yu. Ji Yu said directly. Ji. City Lord Ji? Yang Wen was surprised. You came here from such a faraway place. Is there something important? Even if Ji Yu did not take off her white robe to reveal her true appearance, he was certain that the person in front of him was Ji Yu. After all, the other party's tone, manner of speech, and strength were all very Ji Yu. I'm here to get some information from you. Ji Yu said. Gather information? What is it? Yang Wen asked. Information regarding the Kanglan Temple of the Evolution Temple. At this point, Ji Yu's tone became more serious. Evolving Temple. Yang Wen paused. After a moment of silence, he continued, I don't have much information regarding the Kanglan Temple of the Evolution Temple. I wonder if I can help City Lord Ji. It's fine as long as you have it. Then, Ji asked directly, tell me, what do you want? He did not want to ask Yang Wen for information. It would be more straightforward to talk about the conditions directly. No need, no need. How would I dare to ask for City Lord Ji's conditions? Yang Wen said politely, speaking of which, I can't thank you enough. If it wasn't for you last time, I would still be an evil bastard. Ji thought about it and roughly understood that Yang Wen was referring to the time when he stopped Yang Wen from getting angry at his daughter. Then take me to see the information. Ji did not waste any more words. Since the other party did not want any conditions, he felt that there was no need to say anything more. However, at this moment, a voice came from outside the room. Father, I need some pills to break through. As soon as the voice fell, the door was pushed open at the same time. The person who pushed open the door was Yang Qingxue. Chapter 343. Ji merely glanced at Yang Qingxue who had just entered the room and did not say anything. Who is this? Yang Qingxue looked at the white-robed man beside her father and couldn't help but ask. Qingxue, this is City Lord Ji. You should remember him, right? Seeing his daughter, Yang Wen immediately smiled. City Lord Ji? Yang Qingxue immediately thought of the young man named Jiyu in Chaoyang Ancient City and immediately said respectfully to the white-robed man, Qingxue greets City Lord Ji. No need to be so polite. At this time, Jiyu opened his mouth. Why don't you bring young master to the scripture pavilion to take a look at the Evolution Temple's information? Yang Wen had a bright idea and said, Father will send someone to deliver those medicinal pills you want to your room. Until now, he still had the idea of matchmaking Jiyu and Yang Qingxue. Of course, this time, he wouldn't force his daughter like last time. Instead, he would let things develop naturally. At most, he would add fuel to the fire and wouldn't interfere too much. Daughter obeys. Yang Qingxue didn't have any objections and nodded. Jiyu found that the relationship between Yang Wen and Yang Qingxue was much better than last time. This was a good thing. City Lord Ji, please follow me. At this time, Yang Qingxue said to Jiyu. Okay. Jiyu nodded slightly and followed Yang Qingxue. Ding. Master has taken a step. Earth rank mid-level mystical skill lightning flash gained experience. 1 by 999 times. Ding. Master has taken a step. Earth rank mid-level mystical skill lightning flash gained experience. 1 by 999 times. Halfway through, Yang Qingxue spoke first. Speaking of which, I haven't properly thanked City Lord Ji for his kindness last time. Yang Qingxue said. It's nothing. Jiyu said indifferently. City Lord Ji, don't say that. Yang Qingxue was only halfway through her words when she was interrupted by Jiyu. It's already considered a thank you for bringing me to take a look at the information. Right now, other than the information about the Evolution Temple, Jiyu wasn't interested in anything else. Alright then, Yang Qingxue could only comply obediently. However, Jiyu didn't notice that Yang Qingxue clicked her tongue lightly. At the same time, there was a trace of gloomy displeasure in her eyes. At this time, Jiyu had already followed Yang Qingxue to the City Lord's mansion's scripture depository. City Lord Ji, this is our Yang family's scripture pavilion. Yang Qingxue explained to Jiyu without the slightest bit of impatience. Not only are there all kinds of secret manuals, there are also scrolls that record all kinds of things at the bottom, which is the information that City Lord Ji wants. Jiyu just nodded. Hello, miss. At this time, an old man in the scripture depository greeted Yang Qingxue respectfully. This old man should be the guardian of this scripture depository. Elder Yang, please open the passageway to the basement. Yang Qingxue told the old man. All right. The old man replied immediately. At this time, he also took a look at Jiyu. His eyes revealed a trace of curiosity. He was curious about who this white-robed man in front of him that he had never seen before was. However, this person was brought here by the eldest miss, so there shouldn't be any problem. After that, The old man opened a very concealed secret door. From the moment they entered the scripture depository until they walked into the basement, Ji Yu didn't say a single word. He quietly followed young Qingxue into the basement. They walked down the stairs until there was a large door at the end. Obviously, this was the door to the basement. City Lord Ji, we have reached the basement. Young Qingxue said, City Lord Ji, please wait for a moment. As she spoke, she made a small cut on her fingertip and let a drop of blood fall on the door. This basement door could only be opened by her and her father in the entire City Lord's mansion. If it was someone else, it wouldn't have any effect on the door. In the next moment, the sound of the basement door opening could be heard. Then, it slowly opened by itself. We can go in now. As she spoke, young Qingxue walked into the basement. Ji Yu followed her in. Chapter 344. The entire basement was very large, surrounded by stone walls. There were many luminous stones embedded in the walls, making this underground secret room always bright. There were all kinds of scrolls neatly placed around, but Ji Yu didn't know which one was the information that he wanted. At this moment, young Qingxue gradually stopped. She took out a scroll from the side and handed it to Ji Yu. City Lord Ji, this is the information you want about the evolving temple. Thank you. Ji Yu immediately took the scroll. Most of the records in our City Lord's mansion are about the entire Yunchuan ancient city. There are relatively few records of other places in the Kanglan Empire, and there is only one scroll about the evolving temple. Young Qingxue continued. I understand, let me take a look first. As Ji Yu spoke, she impatiently opened the scroll. Ding. Master has read the information for 1 minute, bronze memory gained experience, 1 by 999 times. Ding. Master has read the information for 1 minute, bronze memory gained experience, 1 by 999 times. Ji Yu skimmed through more than half of the scroll, but he didn't see any useful information. It wasn't that it was all nonsense, but he had already seen this information when he was in the Thousand Treasure Pavilion. Ji Yu could only continue to read, hoping to see some useful information, even if it was only 1 or 2. Not long after, he almost finished reading the entire scroll, but he still didn't see any useful information, so he couldn't help but feel a little disappointed. But after a while, he felt relieved. After all, it was just a small City Lord's mansion in Yunchuan ancient city. It couldn't be compared to the Thousand Treasure Pavilion. It was already good enough that there was a scroll that recorded the evolving temple. At the same time, Ji Yu also read to the end. But at this moment, he found a very special piece of information. That was that the members of the Kanglan branch of the evolving temple seemed to have 1 or 2 days of complete freedom every year. Those who were originally from Yunchuan ancient city would return to Yunchuan ancient city, but they wouldn't go back to their own families. They liked to have small gatherings in some unknown place. Although this information was very vague, and there was no specific time or location, it gave Ji Yu hope. When it came to information, one could always figure it out as long as they slowly gathered information everywhere. Ji Yu had already planned to leave Yunchuan ancient city for the next ancient city today. Actually, I know the exact time, but I haven't asked someone to write a scroll yet. But at that moment, young Qingxue, who was standing at the side, suddenly spoke. What? You said you know the exact time? Ji Yu immediately turned to look at young Qingxue. He almost thought that he had misheard. Yes, the Azure Water Sub-Hall has 2 fixed times of complete freedom every year, one of which is 7 days later. Young Qingxue pondered and said, I can't guarantee that it's completely accurate, but it's pretty close. I see. Ji Yu was overjoyed. Since young Qingxue had provided a specific time, it was much easier for him. As long as he could find the gathering place of those people in Yunchuan ancient city within 7 days, it would be fine. Even if he couldn't find it by then, he could go to other ancient cities to gather more information. City Lord Ji, are you going to find those people? Young Qingxue asked with a curious expression. That's right. Ji Yu nodded in response. There was nothing to hide. Then City Lord Ji, would you like to stay in our City Lord mansion for a few days before going to find those people? Young Qingxue invited. Then I'll have to trouble you, Ji said. It was naturally good to have a place to stay temporarily. I'll send someone to help City Lord Ji clean the courtyard later, Yang Qingxue said. Then, the two left the scripture pavilion. For the next half an hour, Ji drank the tea that Yang Qingxue personally brewed. At this time, the servants sent by Yang Qingxue seemed to have cleaned the courtyard that was arranged for Ji to stay temporarily. Yang Qingxue then led Ji to the courtyard. Chapter 345. At this moment, Ji was already sitting in the house in the courtyard. He was going to stay here for 7 days before going to look for the people from the Evolution Temple. During this time, Ji planned to use it to increase the realm of the Heaven Splitter technique. He wanted to break through the second layer of the Heaven Splitter technique to reach the Great Perfection realm as soon as possible so that he could maximize the effects of his cultivation. Ding! Master has activated Heaven Splitter. Heaven Splitter obtained experience 10,000 * 999 times. Ding! Master has activated Heaven Splitter. Heaven Splitter obtained experience 10,000 * 999 times. For the rest of the time, other than eating and sleeping as usual, Ji spent all her time cultivating. After 3 or 4 days, although he didn't directly break through to the Great Perfection realm, he still received a significant increase. Now, his constitution had already reached the 8th grade from the 7th grade spirit body. Ji was preparing to break through to the Great Perfection realm, breaking through to the 9th grade spirit body. After a while, Yang Qingxue came over with tea as usual. City Lord Ji, please enjoy. Yang Qingxue placed a cup of tea on the table. She waited for Ji to finish drinking and then put away the teacup. Just as Ji was feeling a little thirsty and was about to take a sip, she suddenly sensed a powerful aura coming towards them at high speed. This aura definitely wasn't Yang Wen's, it was even stronger than his own. He instantly became alert and the cup in his hand stopped in midair. Seeing that Ji didn't drink, Yang Qingxue couldn't help but frown. At this moment, Ji looked at the tea in his hand and then threw it on the ground. He keenly felt that this tea might be poisoned. Following the sound of the teacup shattering, Yang Qingxue was startled. City Lord Ji, why are you doing this? I want to ask you what you're doing. Ji coldly said, you want me to drink this poisoned tea so that your companion can make a move on me? Hearing this, Yang Qingxue's expression gradually became gloomy. She didn't expect Ji's soul perception to be so strong, he could already sense her companion. I didn't expect you to see through it. Since it had already come to this point, Yang Qingxue no longer concealed it. She was not flustered, for her accomplice had arrived. The next moment, a man in black entered the room. Looking at the man in black in front of her, Ji seemed to understand something. It seems that you are also a member of the Evolving Temple. Ji looked at Yang Qingxue. Yes. Yang Qingxue replied with a smile. Ji narrowed his eyes. To be honest, he never thought that Yang Qingxue would be someone from the Evolving Temple. He had to admit that this woman had fooled him perfectly. Moreover, the tea that was delivered a few days ago was all normal, which made him let down his guard. If he hadn't coincidentally detected the movements of the men in black today, he would have drunk the poisoned tea. There's no need to say anything more. If you want to fight, just do it. Ji's eyes gradually turned cold as he said indifferently. No, Ji Gongzi, please don't misunderstand. Yang Qingxue suddenly changed the way she addressed Ji. Our main purpose this time isn't to attack Ji Gongzi. Then what do you want? Ji asked, you want me to join your Evolving Temple? That's right. As expected of Ji Gongzi, you are so smart. Yang Qingxue praised. Do you think it's possible? Ji said with a smile. If Ji Gongzi doesn't cooperate, then we will have to do it by force. Yang Qingxue said expressionlessly, this person beside me is one of the elders of our Kanglan branch hall. His cultivation is at level 9 Tongxian realm. I advise you to be tactful. I already said, don't waste any more words with me. As soon as he finished speaking, Ji made the first move and directly used his movement technique to charge at the man in black. Ding! Master has used basic movement technique. Lightning flash obtained experience, 1 by 999 times. Seeing Ji-yu charging towards him, the man in black snorted. Petty tricks. The man in black struck out a black palm and hit Ji-yu's abdomen. Ji-yu fell to the ground and seemed to have fainted. Chapter 346. This brat is much weaker than I thought. The black-clothed man looked at Ji-yu, who was on the ground, and said with contempt. Young Qingxue also felt that it was strange. She clearly remembered that Ji-yu was the second most powerful person in the Kanglan Empire. No matter how strong he was, he shouldn't be defeated by an elder in one move. However, she didn't think too much about it and felt that the rumors must have exaggerated Ji-yu's strength. As long as she could bring Ji-yu back to the Azure Water Branch Hall, it would be fine. At this moment, young Qingxue was overjoyed. She was originally carrying out a mission in the City Lord's mansion, but the main target on the bounty list, Ji-yu, delivered himself to her doorstep. Her original mission was almost completed, and now she could bring Ji-yu back to the Azure Water Branch Hall. Even if she had to split the reward with the elder beside her, she was very comfortable. Most importantly, she would definitely be recorded as a great merit and be promoted to the position of guardian of the Azure Water Branch Hall. The black-clothed man grabbed Ji-yu with one hand and young Qingxue with the other, and quickly left the City Lord's mansion. At this moment, Ji-yu, who was supposed to be unconscious, was faintly trembling. In reality, he deliberately pretended to be unconscious so that the black-clothed man and young Qingxue could bring him to the Azure Water Branch Hall. If he directly accepted the invitation, it would easily arouse the suspicion of the black-clothed man and young Qingxue. Acting like this would be able to deceive everyone. Along the way, Ji-yu controlled himself and didn't make the slightest movement. After an unknown amount of time, Ji-yu finally felt the black-clothed man stop. Give him the antidote, this way he will wake up. At this moment, the black-clothed man's voice suddenly sounded. Then young Qingxue stuffed a pill into Ji-yu's mouth. Ding! Master has taken the antidote of the black demon fatal poison, obtained 999 times recovery effect. A system notification sounded in Ji-yu's mind. Actually, he wasn't poisoned from the beginning. At that time, the black-clothed man's palm was neutralized by his profound chi aura, defensive mystic skill, and third-grade superior silver silk armor. Therefore, it didn't matter if he ate the antidote or not. After a while, Ji-yu pretended to cough heavily a few times, and then slowly opened her eyes, deliberately showing a frightened and flustered expression. Welcome to the Kanglan sub-hall of the Evolving Temple. Seeing that Ji-yu had woken up, the black-clothed man teased. Don't panic. Young Qingxue said, as long as you join our Azure Water Branch Hall, you will be one of us. Do I have any other choice? Ji-yu pretended to have finally calmed down and asked. What do you think? Young Qingxue asked with a smile. All right, I'm willing to join you. Ji-yu pretended to be in pain and struggle. Isn't that right? Young Qingxue smiled. Come in with us. Only then did Ji-yu look around and realize that they were on an island. Ding! Master took a look at the lower-grade 5th stage array formation, concealment array, and activated 999 times of comprehension. Ding! Congratulations, Master, you have successfully comprehended the lower-grade 5th stage array formation, concealment array. Hearing the system notification, Ji-yu sighed. No wonder even the 1,000 Treasure Pavilion did not know the location of the Kanglan sub-hall. It turned out that the Kanglan sub-hall was on such a remote island, and there was even a concealment array formation. This was a 5th stage concealment array. Even if a spirit profound realm expert passed by this island, they might not be able to discover that there was an island here. Although Ji-yu was only a middle-grade 3rd stage array master, when he comprehended the 5th stage concealment array, he also knew how to break it. In the future, he would be able to use this method to make this evolving temple sub-hall pay a price. Then, Ji-yu's gaze was fixed in front of him. In front of him was a grand and majestic hall, and it must be the Kanglan sub-hall. The moment he stepped into the hall, Ji-yu could feel that the profound chi in the Kanglan sub-hall was very dense, at least several times denser than the outside world. The people around him were all very strong, and the weakest was at the defensive profound realm. There were also all kinds of strange buildings that Ji-yu had never seen before. Chapter 347. Not long after, Ji-yu was led by the black-clothed man and young Qingxue to a building called Bounty Hall. There were many people in the hall, each doing their own thing. No one paid attention to Ji-yu who walked in. The main reason was because Ji-yu's face was still covered by the white robe. Otherwise, the entire Bounty Hall would be in an uproar. After all, Ji-yu was one of the most important targets on the bounty list. Ji-yu's gaze looked around the hall and finally stopped on a huge stone board. This board was the so-called bounty list. Ji-yu could see that his name was at the top of the list. As expected, he had long become the Azure Water Branch Hall's main target. From the looks of it, the black-clothed man and young Qingxue should have brought him here to submit the mission. But when Ji-yu saw the second name on the bounty list, his eyes suddenly shrunk. Nangong Morqing. Ji-yu almost thought that he saw wrongly. He carefully looked again and found that it was still the name Nangong Morqing. He couldn't help but be puzzled. Why was Nangong Morqing ranked second on the bounty list? The bounty list would show everyone's approximate cultivation level and strength. And in the top 30, there was no one who was weaker than Nangong Morqing. It was truly abnormal for Nangong Morqing to be ranked second. In terms of martial arts talent, Nangong Morqing was not very outstanding. In terms of alchemy talent, he was also not particularly outstanding. Then what was the Azure Water Branch Hall's goal to put Nangong Morqing in such an important position? He really couldn't understand, and Ji-yu was too lazy to think about it. His gaze continued to move down and saw Jiang Yuchu and Jiang Yushin at the very bottom. As expected, not only Jiang Yuchu, even Jiang Yushin had been targeted. Ji-yu's eyes flashed with unswerving determination when he saw these two names. If he didn't remove these two names from the bounty list, he wouldn't give up. Elder Zhuang, I brought Ji-yu back. At this time, the black-clothed man directly said to an old man at the front desk. Elder Zhao, is that true? The old man's eyes flickered with surprise. Of course. The black-clothed man pulled Ji-yu out from behind and tore off the white robe on Ji-yu's head. At this moment, almost everyone's gazes in the hall converged on him. This appearance, it's actually that Ji-yu. Elder Zhao is still the best. You managed to capture that Ji-yu so quickly. I heard that that fellow is a Tongxian realm expert of the second tier. Looks like young Qingxue and Elder Zhao worked together. I'm so envious. The reward for bringing Ji-yu back is amazing. Many members of the Azure Billow Hall were envious. Next, the black-clothed man and young Qingxue split the reward. Meanwhile, Ji-yu was brought away by Elder Zhuang. Elder Zhuang brought Ji-yu to an altar. In the middle of this altar, there was a sparkling and translucent green crystal. Since you're already here, you should know what to do next, right? Elder Zhuang said to Ji-yu. Yes. Ji-yu nodded slightly. Naturally, he knew that he had to join the Azure Billow Hall next. However, he wasn't sure what kind of process and ceremony he had to go through. It's good that you know what to do. Elder Zhuang said. Next, place your hand on this crystal. I can remind you in advance that this crystal will engrave a curse deep in your soul. From now on, everything you do will be based on the interests of the Evolution Temple. Think about it carefully. However, if you're not willing to accept it, you'll be imprisoned in a dark secret room until you're willing to accept it. Elder Zhuang's words seemed to be lenient, but it was actually forcing him into a dead end. Ji-yu didn't say anything and placed his hand on the crystal without hesitation. Seeing Ji-yu so decisive, Elder Zhuang was surprised and reminded him, about 10 seconds is enough. Ding. Master's soul power has been invaded. Soul power gained experience, 1 by 999 times. Ding. Master's soul power has been invaded. Soul power gained experience, 1 by 999 times. Within 10 seconds, Ji-yu's soul power increased by a lot. The reason why he was so decisive was because he heard Elder Zhuang's words. The crystal could invade the soul. As for Ji-yu, not only did he live 2 lives, but his soul power was also much stronger than normal people. Therefore, he wasn't worried that his soul would be invaded by the crystal. After 10 seconds, in order to not be suspected by Elder Zhuang, Ji-yu could only let go of his hand on the crystal. Otherwise, he would have kept it for a while longer so that his soul power could continue to increase. Very good. Elder Zhuang showed a satisfied expression. Guardian Ji, from today onwards, you're a part of the Evolution Temple. Chapter 348. Protector. Ji-yu asked doubtfully. Here, I can arrange positions for newcomers. Most of them are ordinary disciples, and a small number of them can become deacons. Elder Zhuang said, and with your talent and strength, although I can't let you become an elder the moment you enter, it's not a problem for you to become a protector. Hearing the other party's words, Ji-yu more or less understood. In this azure water branch hall, the positions were divided from lowest to highest: disciple, deacon, protector, elder. Above that, would it be the vice hall master and hall master? Although Ji-yu came here to erase the names of Jiang Yuchu and Jiang Yushin from the bounty list, it was not bad to become a protector the moment he entered. This Black Fiend life-extinguishing palm is your gift for joining my azure water branch hall. As he spoke, Elder Zhuang took out a secret manual. This. Can I change it? Ji-yu asked. He had already comprehended the Black Fiend life-extinguishing palm, but he had never used it before. You want to change it? That's fine too. Elder Zhuang did not care too much and gave a secret manual to Ji-yu. Take a look at this and see if it's okay. The reason why he was so polite to Ji-yu was because Ji-yu had joined their azure water branch hall and could be treated as a true comrade. Furthermore, Ji-yu's name was like thunder to the ears. Breaking through to the spirit profound realm was only a matter of time. In the future, he might need Ji-yu's help, so it was good to get closer to him now. Ji-yu took a look and found that it was a defensive profound skill. He opened it and casually flipped through it. Ding! Master has seen the high-level profound rank defensive profound skill glazed shield, activating 999 times comprehension ability. Ding! Congratulations Master, you have successfully comprehended the high-level profound rank defensive profound skill glazed shield. Sure. Ji-yu immediately thanked him. Thank you, Elder Zhuang. The defensive profound skill that came with his system had just been upgraded to the middle level of the yellow rank. This high-level profound rank glazed shield was undoubtedly very useful to him. As long as you're satisfied. Elder Zhuang said, all right, I will continue with my work. You can go and familiarize yourself with our azure water branch hall. All right. Ji-yu replied. He couldn't help but sigh. The other party was clearly his enemy, but he was able to converse with him in such a friendly manner. Perhaps this was Elder Zhuang's confidence in the green crystal. He had completely treated Ji-yu as one of his own. Speaking of which, Ji-yu was suddenly a little concerned. The old man's surname was Zhuang. He wondered if he was related to Zhuang Mingyang, the Grand Elder of Alchemy in the Chenyuan martial house. Ji-yu didn't leave the altar immediately. He then placed his hand on the cyan crystal in order to increase his soul power. Ding! Master's soul has been invaded. Soul power experience gained, 1 by 999 times. Ding! Master's soul has been invaded. Soul power experience gained, 1 by 999 times. As time passed, Ji-yu's soul power continued to grow. After an unknown amount of time, the system notification in his mind suddenly stopped. It seems that my soul power is now so strong that it isn't affected by the cyan crystal at all. Ji-yu retracted his hand and muttered to himself. To put it simply, the cyan crystal could invade his soul and his soul would resist. Slowly, as his soul power grew stronger, the cyan crystal couldn't even invade his soul now. Therefore, the system wouldn't send out the notification that his soul was invaded anymore. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.